Your jacket?
I'm good. I got it.
You were white today. I went white too.
All right, are we rolling? We're on.
Are we rolling?
What's up, potheads and political junkies?
Yo, yo.
You're watching Cannabis Culture News live.
Live.
Jeremiah here with my boy Johnny.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm always well. You?
Good to see you. I'm good.
Great to see you.
I'm very good.
Look, he just walked in the
Yeah,
door.
and we have Opus in the hot seat right now.
Yeah, well, he's been in more than just a hot seat.
He's been in a few hot seats
He's
lately.
been in a few hot seats. I was under fire. I would just say testing the machine.
And of course, we have Anil running the show here, doing our production for us.
How you
And
do,
we got
Dab?
Spicoli in the house.
Spicoli.
Spicoli's here, and Mr. Dana Larsen just walked into the room.
Well, Dana's
And
going.
a hush came over the crowd because of how damn good he looks in that suit jacket. And so Dana's gonna bow, 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 bow.
You know what?
Dana. Oh, that's after the show. He's got his new publications.
New publications.
Dr. Seuss.
Has he Dr. Seuss done the Bible yet?
You should do a Bible story of Jesus with cannabis, like in the.
I would like
Remember how they used to have those Bible stories, like illustrated?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, you could do a
With the pop-ups.
a big garden
Is it-
comes
this
out. Jesus rubbing down somebody in cannabis lotion or cannabis oil.
Sorry. I'm just stealing someone's dabs in front of me here. I'm just like, that looks good, and I'm helping myself.
Oh,
Hope that's okay.
I didn't.
I'm just looking at him and go, this isn't yours.
I didn't end up taking one
This
of
was
those.
different, and it looks like something that, well, I'm on Pod TV, so I should be smoking lots of weed.
Should we make sure that we're all here?
Hold up, we got some nice fine
Get
buds
the
over there.
chatters up here. So yeah, we have some. Spicoli left some amazing looking buds on the table here.
Those were my buddies at Plain Jane, but they gave us some lemon skunk to try.
That's the lemon skunk. It's sure. I thought it was pineapple.
That's the lemon skunk on the screen.
Wasn't that pineapple?
Oh, no,
This is
pineapple
tasty.
skunk, sorry.
Pineapple skunk. Yeah, yeah,
Crispy sticking.
yeah.
Oh, that was, I knew
Where's
Tana
our
that you just
show?
grabbed from me there. I would have gave you a used one.
So Opus has been driving around with the cops.
You been in
Actually,
Delta?
I've been driving around with CTV News.
I guess that's what it
CTV
really
News
was.
and visiting cops.
Yeah, well, we visited the cops, and then we visited a lawyer's office.
Aha.
Sure.
Grab the mic.
There we go. How's that better?
Microphone.
So I hooked up with CTV reporter Li Zhongli, and we went down to Delta Police Department
Why'd you choose Delta?
because she was arranging it, and I guess those guys were receptive to doing this on camera. That's why.
I like
The
that.
the other cops didn't see.
So Delta's a private police force, right? It's not
a
RCMP.
It's not RCMP. No. So we got down there. We met the chief of police. I met with a drug recognition expert, and they also had the lady there who is their media spokesperson.
Yeah, I watched the video, so it made me smile right away.
You know, we did two. There's a 12. The test that I did. Okay, there's a 12-step test, but actually, so I only was tested on two parts. One is vision, where they hold a pen out and you follow it with your eyes. Don't move your head. And the other one was walking the line, as you guys saw on the video. Well, as I find out, when they're doing the test with the eyes, with the pen, they're trying to elicit a jerky motion of your eyes, okay? Or you're going to move your head, which is actually easy to force if you go outside of the parameters.
Yeah, because you got.
So if you go to past a certain spot, you're automatically going to get that reaction in your eyes because you're outside of your vision. You're trying
Outside
to
your
make
vision,
your eyes,
peripheral vision.
force your eyes to go
Now
that
it's
way.
working. Now
So, regardless, I still passed. Also, the same comes when he had the pen going up, and he moved it. Hey, Greg, he moved it past my field of vision, and I mentioned that to him, and I said, I can't. You're way past what I
Expert in
could
the
normally
house.
see. And he said, oh no, I'm doing that on purpose because I'm trying to get you to roll your eyes back in your head. So I guess he's trying
Well,
to look
just like
under
anything,
your
there's
eyes
ways
or
of being
something.
able to push the test where we're able to that they're forcing us to say, "Oh yeah, you're impaired," to as it being tested as being performed properly. So depending on who's doing the test, that like you said, if you're gonna take this dab tool and move it outside of your range, my vision's gonna I'm gonna follow that dab tool.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
This
But,
is-
but if you're gonna go from here to here,
Yeah.
there needs a dab
Follow
tool.
that dab tool,
There you
right?
go.
So,
But I mean, what you're just saying, and I really appreciate even the officer saying it. But I can take it here, and I can make you do it.
but the thing is, I just finished a bowl and passed that part of the test.
Yeah, but
All
you
right.
didn't pass a saliva test.
No, but that was different. That was another day. So I'll get to
what's
that.
up
Let
with
me
that?
get to that.
And
Thank
the
you.
video,
Then-
they don't really give it an accurate.
No, I'm trying.
No,
So
they
I'm
don't.
trying to fill in some
They
of the
sure
gaps here.
fudged it.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
fill in what I missed as well too. Hi everybody, I just came by.
Hi.
I smelled the smell of smoke walking by.
Good to
leaving,
see you, buddy.
Leave on save
Holy
on
Craig.
radio. I just came by to crash. Come by, sit down. I needed someone to come
The
in
experts
and drive.
in the
Stick
Because
around,
just because
stick
I used to
around.
do that
Yeah,
to
so
your
good to see
show
you.
all the time, he now makes a point.
So
of
anyhow-
making- I love it.
What else? What were you doing? So okay, then there's the
Doing so well,
the
right?
walking part, walking the line. A part of what the cop is trying to do is actually see how well you multitask, because he's giving you a whole bunch of verbal instructions. For instance, he's explaining how he wants you to walk the line. He kept repeating like, "Don't do it till I tell you to start." You know, like there's that
Yeah,
part.
because there's always these. They tell you so many times you screw it up.
Right, and then he's like, make sure you hold your hands at your side. I want you to count out loud. When you get to 9, turn a certain way. They had a little fancy way to shuffle to turn around, repeat, go back. My point is, though, most people standing with your feet tight together, heels and toes touching, hands at your side, your balance is off because you don't have a good stance.
Totally.
Now you're trying to walk this line, and he's telling you also you have to look at your feet. Well, that's going to throw you off. If you could look straight ahead, you would do it a lot easier because you can focus on a distant point. That's what helps you hold your
Now
balance.
do it after a big bowl of some OG Kush.
And again, they were very clear in saying this is all really up to the officer's discretion. So while they knew I had just smoked, had he not known or smelt any weed on me in another scenario, I probably would have got away with that. Just because I would also, the fact that once you get 60 and up, it starts, the effectiveness of that test drops dramatically, over 30%. So anyone who's an elderly or has other physical problems, immediately that test isn't really valid.
So our
But I
temperature's
will
below 4 degrees
but-
Celsius.
oh no, that was a different part. But I will say this, there's 10 other parts to that test that I don't know what they do, okay? There is a 12-step thing.
Why do they only
So-
form 2?
So we're working on a video with a drug recognition expert who can do the administered the roadside test to do that. We're going to get all the info, but one of the steps is ask the person, and it's like the 9th step or something. Ask if they've consumed cannabis. It's the most asinine, poorly laid out, organized thing. Go through all this other shit, waste an hour on the road, and then ask.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? That's one of the steps. Like, you had to go to class to learn that as a step.
Okay, so then I
First you
did the
ask,
saliva
have you done
test.
any?
You gotta ask.
So the saliva test is another animal. We went on a different day to a lawyer's office. They have a machine there.
The Drager 5000.
That's the one.
Dragger.
6,000.
5.
Is it a 5? Isn't there
5,000.
6,000?
No.
No, that's next year, Johnny.
It's 5,000. Next year's coming
They
up.
should
with
call it the
yeah,
4,200.
I already read about the
5,000.2.
6,000.
But so we go down there now, and they did mention on the interview that I hadn't smoked in 10 hours. So like 10 o'clock the night before, had my last puff, went to bed, woke up, coffee, bowl of fruit, went down and did the test.
Dabalicious.
You've got to do the swabbing in your mouth
Dab
for
it.
at least 4 minutes. That's standard. Or sometimes longer, because when they took it out the first time, the little blue indicator wasn't blue. You go, oh no, you got to do it some more.
You're pregnant?
Need more liquid. So you got to kind of.
So you gotta kinda spit on it?
In your down in your gum line. If you got a dry mouth, you have problems.
Do you spit on it?
Well, I just worked up some saliva.
Just
and
to get a
got
big
it
one of
wet.
that.
For a minute, I
But
thought
anyways,
Mick was pregnant, but it's
Put it deep.
It's about yay long.
Swallow it by accident.
No. Well, it's attached. It's attached to a big
good.
6-inch
We'll-
ruler thing.
We'll
Yeah.
see it in the video. We have a video of it.
So, I did that. Then they put it in the machine. Well, she tells me right away it could take up to 20 minutes to get for an analyze to come out. But mine did in about 10. But it's
Why
also,
that
I
take
gotta
so
tell
long?
you this, it's also testing for meth and coke and something else. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
So you failed a few different tests, huh?
yeah, no, I passed
Did it-
all of them. I was
Yeah.
positive.
Did it test for sassy mouth?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it,
They failed that
Test
one.
for bad
Definitely
mouth.
failed.
But anyhow, you know, the lawyer, Kyla there, she spoke well to it and just, you know, pointed out all the flaws.
You drove away
But
after
the
this,
fact
right?
it was, look, here I am testing positive 10 hours, which afterwards, that could relate into a 90-day suspension or a 24-hour
Try and prove
suspension
impairment at that
or a
point.
charge or, you know.
The cop in the video
and-
tries to say he would have given you a 24-hour suspension.
Yeah, but you know what? Like I said, I
Yeah,
bet
but-
if he had known, if that wasn't set up and I was just pulled over somewhere,
He wouldn't have known.
he would have had no clue. I would have.
Of course.
I would have looked at him and said, "Well, I'm 60 years old. I have hip flexor issues. I got spinal arthritis. I got problems with my sciatica.
Yeah.
So no, I can't do those tests. I'm gonna say sorry, can't do that part. You're gonna have to pick something else."
And the other lady failed before and after.
Well, she also was walking with a cane. She showed up. She's walking with a cane. So they take her cane away and make her stand with her feet together. Of course, she went tumbling off.
Oh, that's
to the
CTV.
side.
Great
Well, you can
journalism
ask.
for you.
Also, they also tested her before she did her drops. I didn't do it before and after because I'm hardcore. I said no, I'll just smoke because I'm no sense doing the baseline before.
Right.
Anyhow, so she failed before she smoked,
Right.
or before she did
Took
her
the drops. Yeah.
Not to mention,
And did
she
better
doesn't
after
even
the
drive.
drops.
She doesn't even drive. She was driven there.
Yeah. She
She gets driven around by her husband. It's like
It's funny to me because when they
Jesus.
talk about all this and improving impairment, I can think of at least a couple of people who probably function at a higher level and can multitask better, even while on cannabis, than the person administering the test can, sober as a bone.
Well, the whole thing is a lot of people who are using cannabis are using it for some more than maybe just reasons of getting high. A lot of them are using it medical, and they're able to actually move better and more freely using cannabis for their medicine. So, say I know a lot of people who can't walk properly and stuff like that, but after a few tokes or someone who have MS, who's shaking and stuff like that, they have a pull, they can actually function. So, how can you say that person's, if they're driving, they're using cannabis so they can actually drive, but then is that an impairment? Like, there's so many issues when it comes around medical and people being able to medicate and use cannabis for medicine like myself. I mean, I consumed converted forms of THC daily for
You look at
muscle
all of us.
spasms.
We would
We all
all
do. Everybody here.
We would all have
Damn
all
it.
the milligrams in us if no matter what time we tested for pretty much ever.
oh
yeah.
Oh, I've not been. I don't think I've been below
I-
5 nanograms per 100 mils
Since I was
My
15.
life.
in 25 years.
for sure.
Like, I could take a long fucking break and still have. It doesn't matter how you.
I was actually disappointed that the machine didn't measure my levels because I would have liked to have seen my levels at 10 hours after smoking.
Yeah.
That's where we're really gonna find out.
You still failed.
What
whatever
really
they were.
fucks me
No.
up is my
Yeah.
mom and my old man use it like little of the Miss Envy Buddha butter, shouts to missenvy.ca, on the ankles and shit like that. If you did enough of a blood test and they use that enough, you're going to get nanograms in your system.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, there is no impairment going on from a little bit of Buddha butter on his 81-year-old ankle and shit. If anything, like you say, Johnny, helps him move better and have less issues getting around mobility-wise. Like, but might test some
Well,
milligrams.
here's the thing. So I'm using cannabis creams. I use MJM creams on my knees pretty much faithfully.
products.
Great products. Is that putting enough? And it is putting THC into my system. Is that going to put me over the test? Have they even thought about that? Are people who are using creams because it's going into your blood system? It's going into your
interesting
stream.
thing
So
is gonna happen.
in reality, me slapping on a little bit of CBD cream or THC cream on my knees in the morning because they're burning would make me test over.
Theoretically.
We should.
Theoretically.
I'm going to be
Theoretically.
next week.
Sorry, Dan, I can't use your cream anymore.
It's too good, MJ Cream.
It's too good.
Next
you
week,
don't have a
though,
license.
I'm trying. I think CTV's got it set up. I'm going back to do a driving simulator effect thing.
That is hilarious.
I am going to smoke weed.
Good for you, man. I love that.
And
Thank you.
drive in a simulator. I think it's all pretty much set up.
I was wanting to set one of these up here, but this sounds like it might just save me a whole bunch of work.
Well, the only problem with the simulator, and I'll say this, okay, a simulator essentially is a video game. And if you're not used to the video game,
You're not going to get
you're
it.
not going to do as well. It's
So you better
not
get
the
you on a
same-
simulator this week.
So-
Anybody got one?
Well, I'm going to say, at least let me play, like
You get
driving
familiar with
around
it,
the
yeah.
neighborhood for 5 minutes before we tested, so I'm familiar with the feel of.
So drive it straight.
Right? I gotta have a baseline. I gotta learn how to operate the simulator.
So you gotta
It is
operate the
because
simulator
essentially,
and
like I
then
say,
smoke?
A simulator.
I think
is
you
a
should
video
dab,
game,
too.
and that's the bottom
Just
line.
saying.
You can call it whatever you want. It's still a video game.
Two Joints just figured it out in the chat room right now. The show is actually simulated. It's
Well,
not real.
we're stimulated.
We are in the Matrix. That is for sure, man. For sure.
That's right.
I was also on CTV last week. That was kind of funny, but yeah, I'm looking forward to see this. JV, you got that video?
CTV, so we got to watch the video now, and you guys make the decision for yourself. But CTV always does the. I'm just. It's bullshit. They so often take things out of context. Or they just paint the picture that they want.
But that's what the news is all
What
about.
you didn't realize is I'm with the alternative media.
Yeah,
Hey.
I know,
Catch that play,
but then
so
they get it out
both
there.
sides of the story now.
And it just looks like they made it look bad, you know. From what the story that you told us. Happy.
Wow, it's a 1 minute warning,
1 minute.
actually.
We still
1
have,
minute.
Mine says 419 still.
419. Thank
Already ahead
you.
of the curve.
Thank
I
you
started
for
a couple
getting
minutes
us
ago.
on that 1 minute warning. So,
I got started 2-3 minutes ago.
thanks for the dabs. I mean, dabless.
Tablets.
Dabless. Happy 420. Going down.
Cheers.
Happy 420.
Next week this time.
There we go. Thank you for talking. Go.
Next week this time, 420 will be happening in Saskatoon, but it'll be 520.
We'll be 520.
Right? Happy 520.
Happy 520. That's right.
I
So
think is the plan at this point.
yeah. All right. Should we watch this video then? Let's do this video. It's 420. He had his dab. Here's the video. Check it
Gotta
out.
give you a dab.
Then we'll talk more about it.
We're delivering a full week of special coverage, and tonight, Mi Jung, you're looking at concerns about impaired driving.
That's right. You know, police are preparing for a possible increase in stoned drivers. So I decided to test how pot affects driving skills with Canada on the verge of going green.
Hi, my name's Cheryl, and I've been using medical cannabinoid oil since November.
My name is Mike, and I've been using medical cannabis for 17 years.
Cheryl McIntyre takes cannabis oil every day to calm her tremors and deal with other chronic illnesses.
It's given me my life back.
Mike Mann smokes pot to ease the pain of his arthritis.
I usually smoke between 3 to 5 grams a day.
A heavy user, he calls himself highly functioning. If you smoke pot, do you feel okay to drive after?
I usually do, yes.
And he does drive. Cheryl McIntyre, not so sure. She's worried about more people driving high once pot is legalized.
We stand with your heels and toes together and your arms by your side.
We've asked drug recognition expert Grayson Smith to conduct a standard sobriety test. This will be the main tool police use to get high drivers off the road. First, Cheryl takes her cannabis. Feeling right now, Cheryl?
I'm feeling it a little bit, I guess, loopy as well.
Loopy? Okay. She's going to take the test. Let's see how she does now. It doesn't take long for the officer to give her a fail.
Urine test or the drug recognition evaluation.
Ottawa has also approved this saliva screening device. So Mike Mann smoked pot about 10 hours ago. We've got the saliva test here. We're going to test him now to see how much THC is in his system. After putting his saliva in the Draeger 5000, even though it's been 10 hours since smoking, he still tests positive for THC, the active drug in marijuana.
This device would be used to take somebody off the road who isn't really presenting any risk. People are going to be wrongfully punished and wrongfully arrested.
Kyla Lee says studies have shown THC can remain in people's system for weeks, but it doesn't mean they're impaired. Some haziness remains around the issue, but what's clear, lawyers are poised to challenge laws in this new pot reality.
Peace, brother. All right, we're back. So there you go. Fails.
I love listening to that.
They put the big
Nick
red
saying he goes
fail
that
on it.
ending part there. He goes, I had to do it 4 times. It got super big.
It's true.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I was like,
because
replay, I can just keep
bullshit.
smoking.
It says, oh, you have me like 4 bowls almost walking up and down the street smoking. Okay, go down and do it again. I'm like, okay, I gotta put more pot in my pipe. Hang on.
Yeah, I like
Oh,
that.
I was.
You were puffing everywhere you went.
And then they go, oh, okay, that's good, we're done. Okay, we'll see you. All right, I'll call you later. Okay, I'm just standing there, right?
Still stoned.
Where am I going now? Jesus. Okay, am I hot?
So Dana Larsen's in the house. Hi, Dana.
Dope.
Yeah, hi.
Oh,
how's it
shit.
going?
What are you
I
doing?
can't get down to that joint. My body doesn't bend that way. It's right there.
That's not gonna
Oh,
happen.
the roach is gone.
I can't even barely sit in this chair.
Save
Legs
the roach
just
for me.
stand like that.
Mr. Cookie.
Mr. Cookie
Brian!
comes with his golf clubs. 4. You got a boxing glove on that one.
Are you golfing? Are you a golfer?
I am a golfer. I'm always 420.
Are you golfing with the golfer? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh?
Are you golfing with the golfer? No, you don't know the golfer?
No.
You know the golfer.
No.
Tiger Woods.
No golf.
Arnold Palmer.
He's a guy nicknamed Golfer, and he has a lot of really good genetics, and he'll know what I'm talking about once I remind him. It's okay.
Always talking cryptic talk, John. So Dana, how's it going?
Good, good. Lots going on. Lots of exciting things happening. Lots of changes coming, one way or the other.
Inform us, please.
Crazy things happening here in the city of Vancouver. One thing we should talk about before we get on to more
shit.
things. The Sarah Blythe situation here in town.
It's really seen escalated.
Person who's helping
all over the news.
Yeah, Sarah
people who are
Blythe.
addicted to opioids.
First
get
of all,
off
if you live
of
in
them.
Vancouver, make sure you get out and vote for Sarah Blythe. You probably got a card in the mail recently. You can vote in advance. I don't really care if you vote for anybody else. Kennedy Stewart is probably the best choice for mayor, but we need Sarah Blythe on.
How's his marijuana policy, though?
He's pretty. I think. I mean, I'm probably going to endorse him, but this isn't really an official endorsement yet. I guess I still want to talk to him some more.
Yeah.
But I do think that we need to kind of. I mean, there's a lot of candidates running, right? And that's a problem because you've got a really split vote. I'm kind of glad that. I mean, I like Ian Campbell for Vision, but I'm glad that he dropped out in a way because he probably wasn't going to win, and he's. We need a.
He would've-
that.
yeah.
So I don't know. I know there's some other ones out there that are also quite good, but I didn't want to get distracted on that. For
Right.
council, vote for Sarah Blythe. That's really what I wanted to say. Forget
Yes.
about the mayor stuff for now. We need Sarah on city council. Sarah's a former Green Party commissioner, but she had a lot of people she knew were losing their kids to overdoses, and she decided to do something about it. So she opened an illegal, unsanctioned, civil disobedience overdose prevention site, which now gets funding from the province and the city, and is helping a lot of people and saving a lot of lives. And she also runs a market, the Downtown East Side Market, which is a lot of street selling of all kinds of Binnerd items and maybe some other things mixed in there too. And they got a market set up that she also runs that to get them off the street and into an area where it can be kind of more controlled and more accessible. And so she does a lot of stuff and helps a lot of people. And she's not really a big marijuana person. She doesn't smoke pot herself. She's not like even kind of big into the drug scene, right? She just wants to help people. And she started hearing people telling her and seeing how much cannabis could help, so she decided, well, let's get some on the market and make it available. So our dispensary's been providing her with quite a bit of cannabis and edibles and other things, and she created the High Hopes Foundation as kind of a structure, and they sell, $2 joints, and they give it away or they sell it at under cost, and we donate it all. Whatever money they make goes to the person working in the booth who does there. They might get a bit of money for themselves, right? But it's mainly to get cannabis to those who need it, and a lot of it just gets given away.
Yeah.
And people who have opioid use need cannabis. It can help people reduce their opioid use. It can help people sleep better and function better, and it's a really soothing effect, as we all know. And so they were doing it for a year, and a year ago it was in the news, and people talked about it, and the Vancouver police gave a great statement. They said, yeah, we know it's illegal, but we're really focused on preventing overdoses, and if something that can prevent overdoses, we're not going to interfere with it, whether or not it's technically illegal. That's a wonderful thing for the cops to say, right? So awesome. A year goes by. She gets on CTV News again with a TV story and a bit of media coverage, and a few days later the cops are down there taking it away, threatening people with arrest. They called the people the city manager who kind of runs the market and threatened them. So they said, okay, you can't do this here anymore, and got them kicked out basically. And so it's really ridiculous that the VPD are going to tolerate cannabis everywhere in the city, which they should, except for right next to the overdose prevention site. That's the one group that you can't provide cannabis to
where they need it the
opioid
most.
users.
Man.
It's insane, right? Like,
got me off my opioid drugs, cannabis. Exactly. You know what?
There's so many people that it helps so much, and we're sitting here smoking fat joints on video. We got weed everywhere. We're only a few blocks away, and I'm not saying they should come bust us or anything, but to the place they're starting at, the only place you can't do it is only the junkies can't have any weed. Only the opioid users can't have access to cheap cannabis, and it was the cheapest cannabis in the city because it was basically free or $2 a gram kind of thing, right? Like just so available. So I don't know what they're thinking, but what I like about it is it stirred up a lot of controversy. You got people talking. The amount of cannabis
all
they
over the
took
news.
wasn't really very much overall, but it's more that they forced it out of the market that's a problem. But I think it's made a lot of people more aware of the benefits of cannabis for opioid users and how much it can help so many people. People use opiates because they're in pain. Cannabis can help relieve pain. Like, it's just as simple as that. For
It
a lot
does
of people,
help relieve
you
pain.
know, maybe not for everybody. I'm not wanting to ban opiates, and opiates are really good, and people
They
in
work.
many ways. People need them. They should have access to clean, safe opiates, but they should also be offered safe alternatives at the same time. And maybe first, and maybe your doctor, before prescribing you opioids, should be, well, have you tried cannabis? Let's try that first to see if that works. And if it doesn't, maybe then we'll try some other types of treatments, right? But instead it's all backwards, right? It's all totally backwards.
Well, I saw that on the following day afterwards, or maybe it was 2 days after, at DTS, Downtown Eastside Society, had a table on the street with pictures of 2 of the cops that were involved in that raid, that apparently have a huge amount, like way higher than any other officers downtown, of complaints of basically abuses. They swear at people, they harass the street people. They're basically 2 bullies that are walking around and kind of singling out the lowest hanging fruit.
And
Like, this is what they've done. They've gone after the lowest
And it
hanging
wasn't
fruit.
just, it's
So
not even just
now
harassment.
they
It's
have
physical
it.
assault.
And-
These cops
oh.
have physically assaulted people, and
Yeah.
they're reporting on it. One guy, he smacked a guy in the face who lit a joint down there.
Yeah,
They're-
they're extreme bullies, and I think
And
it's 2 guys, and they might be
We have them on
behind
camera
riling up.
pushing a guy's camera.
Yeah.
They're
It's probably
the
them.
VPD used to really be super violent to people in downtown East Side at a very high level, and a lot of that's been reduced quite a bit, but it's still
Yeah.
way too much. And this Pivot Legal Society, which is a group of lawyers that provide cheap and free legal advice to people in the downtown East Side and others who can't afford it. And yeah, I was there. They put on a poster with a picture of these 2 officers saying, "Have you been harassed?" And every single person that walked by was like, "Oh yeah, I know those guys. That guy took my last $10 and like shoved me around," or that guy, and without even being pushed, to say anything.
Right.
Everybody walking by was like, "I know those guys," and they had some story.
It's that guy in the
about
hat.
being abused. Yeah, those 2 police officers, and it's not like people think you're against all the police, and it's like, I'm not against all police, but I'm against police that abuse their authority. And there needs to be accountability for those kind of police, because otherwise, they're saying, well, they're just bad apples, right? But one bad apple ruins the bunch is the whole actual saying, right? And if you have a code of silence where they all protect each other, rather than a code of responsibility where they're actually kind of watching each other and making sure that they're all on the same page, that's really what there needs to be, that kind of a code. Yeah. And so this is not, it's not good. But maybe the result of this will be that those cops are reassigned somewhere else or taken off the beat there. So that would actually be a good resolution, because the mayor did come out and say that he wanted to talk to him about that, and even Premier John Horgan said he didn't think the police intended or should be interfering with a health service and a health thing. Although, I know John Horgan, and I'm disappointed, because on the one hand he's saying that we shouldn't interfere with a health program that's helping addicts. On the other hand, he's telling his cops and his people to step up enforcement on dispensaries and shut down dispensaries and close them all down. So it's like all these guys want to play both sides. They want to go get pictures with Sarah Blythe, and they want to pose at her place, and they want to praise her, and yet they don't want to actually acknowledge that she's breaking their laws to do what she's doing, and that everything they do as a politician in power is making it harder for her and others like her to do what she's doing. Like, how can you praise her but then also not change the law that prohibits her from doing what she's doing, right? It makes no sense. These guys have the power, and yet they still seem to not have the power. Like, you're the premier, you get to make, who's making these decisions if not you? Like, I don't get the reluctant, shitty marijuana laws they passed. And maybe even more importantly, their refusal to do anything to end the opioid crisis. Marijuana laws are bad, but at least they're not killing 4 people every day like the rest of the drug laws
But
are. It needs a full
Is it the people that are around these politicians? They have, because they don't make these decisions by themselves. They have their whole team, right? And so, you've been in the back ends of the NDP before. There's certain people there that have very strong opinions about cannabis, seemingly. You went up against them before, didn't you? I mean, there was...
Well, I've had a lot of struggles in the NDP, and this is the first time since I've been an NDP member that the party's held power, either in BC. right? And the whole time it's been the Liberals. And I ran for the leader of the party in when did I run? In 2010.
Yeah.
Against Adrian Dix won at that time, and basically. I mean, I know Adrian. He's a good guy in many ways, but he snatched defeat from the jaws of victory there against Christy Clark. And then then they picked John Horgan as the leader. We didn't really have a race because we all decided to let him do it. And he told me so many things beforehand, personally, about what he was going to do for cannabis, and that he's like, I know there's going to be things, but I'm the party leader, and I'm going to make sure we do this and that. And I don't know if he was lying to me then, or if he just
did you remind him of those things? You should remind him.
I talk to him. I don't see him a lot, right? I mean, I do talk to some of these guys. There's actually an event coming up where I'm going to get to talk to some of the MLAs and the caucus, and I want to be frank with them. I do harass them on Twitter a lot. I know they know how I feel and the things I say. I mean, Adrian Dix is our health minister, and I know Adrian personally. He's someone who's in politics because he wants to help people. Like, he's sincere. He believes in what he's doing. You don't spend 20 years in the NDP because you're gonna get powerful, right? I mean, it's not a party that, and yet he's a health minister, and it's the biggest health crisis of our history in the province, and he won't say a thing about it because it's up to Judy Darcy, who's the addiction minister, to talk about it. And they won't, and it's like the senior health officials in the BC level and the city of Vancouver, and I think Victoria also, have all said, we want you to decriminalize, stop arresting, provide a safe source. And they won't even talk about it. They will say, we support decriminalization, but Trudeau, there's no appetite for it federally or provincially. And I'm like, well, provincially, it's your appetite. You're like, what are you saying? There's I just don't understand why they won't act on it.
Dana, it's article time. I think
the Cannabis Act puts it right in the province's lap.
The provinces control healthcare, and they control policing, and they absolutely have the right to tell the police how to prioritize things. They have the right. They're in court. They've been in court fighting about the pipeline. They're willing to go to court to ensure that they have this jurisdiction there. But they won't even put up a struggle for the people dying every day in this province, right? And we showed with the Sensible BC campaign and the Sensible Policing Act, that was a method there that they could decriminalize cannabis possession. They could do the same for other drugs. And decriminalization of possession is not the end or the solution, right? I liken it to like someone's got cancer or something and you're punching them in the face. And then they say, well, if I stop punching you in the face, it's not going to cure your cancer. And I go, yeah, but it's not helping anything either, just making shit worse, right? Like, the arrests aren't, stopping arrests doesn't make the drug supply clean, but it stops persecuting people, and it stops putting all our money into punishment and hurting people, and maybe we can redirect it into getting safer drug supply and providing better alternatives that are also illegal right now, things like kratom, things like cannabis, and also maybe having psychedelic therapy and entheogen therapy, which we actually know works a lot better on many ways than a lot of these other drug treatment kind of programs, which a lot of which just rely on religious-based drug abstinence. And treating, there's just so many problems with this policies, and they have the power to make a change. And I just feel like when you've got that power and you don't use it, then it's the same as you're doing that then, right? You are personally responsible. If there's 5 people and they all have the power to stop something happening, and none of them do, they are all equally responsible when that thing happens. And so I lay those deaths right on John Horgan and Adrian Dix and Judy Darcy, right on their heads.
Well,
because,
this is, Dana,
they can stop it.
What about an article in the Huffington Post that calls them out? Attack them head on. Maybe they'll have to respond.
Stop doing all their blogger stuff in January, so I don't get a source on Huffington Post anymore.
They don't.
They cut off all their bloggers, the whole thing. Like, they stopped all their blogging thing, and they cut it all off in January.
Why?
The American one did it before. I think they just are. It's harder to maintain all the checking everybody's stuff or something. I don't really know, but they cut them all off in the States, and then that's kind of what they built themselves on too, right? Was all this free content from people who don't pay it. You just get a chance to get your name out through their network, right? But I still.
Well, it was a great platform. Yeah, of course you could write it. You could write it for anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a good reach. But yeah, I think I rage tweet a lot when I should. I do like 20 tweets in a row, and I should also turn that into an article, right?
Because this one is it's got more. There's a lot of meat there, and it's something that needs to be said. Nobody's calling them out directly for all the promises they've made in the past and everything else. You should bring this shit up.
Actually, what I have been doing is I've been talking to a bunch of good lawyers, and we're putting together two different paths actually that I can talk about. If you want some of that, that's a good one. The one thing we're going to do is put out get a bunch of lawyers to write an editorial explaining how the province can decriminalize. Because when I say it, they just go, "Oh, Dana, you're just some guy, right?" And I am maybe just some guy, but I've talked to a lot of people who are smarter than me who say that this is how we can do it.
Totally.
So I'm going to get those people to write a piece, and we can get 3 or 4 good legal names on it saying we all think the province can do this. This is how, and they actually have multiple options as to ways they can decriminalize as a province. You know, there's a few different things you can do. They've decriminalized drunk driving in British Columbia. They still put very strict penalties in there, but it's not a criminal offense. They don't usually use the federal criminal system. They punish you with provincial things like you get a breathalyzer and you got to pay all these fines and stuff. And they've even tried to decriminalize possession of illicit cannabis in BC when they passed the law prohibiting cannabis possession in British Columbia at the provincial level. They said that one of the reasons they were doing that, what they told me on the phone, was that meant you wouldn't get a criminal record. So they can decriminalize possession a lot of different ways anyways. It's a long explanation, but they have the power and they're not using it.
That's
and
good.
The other thing I'm looking at, and we'll see if this works or not, but they're talking in BC about suing the pharmaceutical companies that produce opiates, saying that they were too lax in their prescriptions.
Yeah.
And I'm no fan of those companies, but I will say those companies are not poisoning the illicit drug supply, and those companies aren't killing people like that. And when you could buy heroin over the counter without a prescription, the overdose rate was way lower than it is now. So I'm not sure those companies, maybe they're to blame for some opiate use, but they're not really to blame for the deaths, right?
Right.
But if we can sue them, why can't we sue the BC government and the federal government for?
Why can't we sue the College of Physicians?
We have Human Rights Commission in British Columbia that the NDP just reinvigorated, and I really think there's some serious human rights arguments to be made on a number of levels, both from parents who have lost children to the extremely racist way these laws are enforced against Indigenous communities and against poor people in ways that they're not enforced against others, people's health. There's a lot of angles we could approach this on. And whether or not we would even win a case like that, I think it could be worthwhile just bringing it forward and having that discussion over the next couple of years as it sort of winds its way through the court system. Because there's a lot. So I've been talking to some lawyers and seeing, is that a valid thing? And they're like, well, actually, yeah, let's think about that. There's some ways we could go about this that you'd have a chance of actually winning or having an impact. And so,
that's fantastic.
So I would love to do some of those things and I think, the federal government, I think they've got their marijuana stuff in. They're not going to make any changes until they bring in edibles, but I think we have a chance at the BC level with the NDP, because I know a lot of them personally do recognize that prohibition is a problem and that decriminalization or legalization is the solution, but they're just not willing to stand up for it. They're like those, I was reading the quote from Martin Luther King a while ago about the moderate whites whose sense of time is mythical, and they're like, now is not the time, and you're not doing it right. Don't protest like that. You should do it differently and just be patient and work from within and all that stuff that really means, maybe your grandkids will get it, but you don't. And I oppose all of that. I think there's only now, and we gotta act on it now. And these politicians who are saying oh, now is not the time, fuck that. There's always now.
Now is the time.
No, I agree with that.
Overdue.
I really do like that angle of suing the government or suing whoever about this, because it isn't the blood on their hands. They know that marijuana and other drugs help to decrease, just that stuff that's going on right here in town. I'm glad to see the public outcry that was there, though. I think that maybe this was a good thing because it really sort of brought it up and got it back out in front of everybody's eyes. All the health professionals in the province essentially chimed in about it together. And some people who are, what's his name, Terry Lake, the former health minister.
I think a lot of good can come when the police overreach like this, and it happens before. The way they would treat Mark Emery would overreach, and they would end up defeating me. The way when they arrested me for giving away seeds, it just allowed me to give away millions of more seeds.
Exactly.
And made them look like a bunch of jerks, right? And with Sarah's thing too, all it's really done is to publicize to a lot of people who maybe weren't aware that, you can use cannabis to help. I never knew that before.
Right.
And now they're thinking about it and talking about it and so I think that's
everything happens for a reason.
In terms of the advertising and promotion we've gotten out of it, it's actually
great
good. I'd rather not to have to do it that way.
No kidding.
But when they do put that on us, it's important that we sort of use that to our advantage.
Right, and that's how it usually goes down. Every time they flex, it just backfires in their face because it makes it more public. Make the fascists act like fascists, and they get called out for it.
And I think people would normally be ashamed to be arrested and try to hide it. And I'm not going, oh, it's a shameful thing. And the cops are, we caught this person being bad. And, you put their name in the paper and you feel bad. But for us, it's like, no, I'm proud.
Yeah.
When we get arrested, we're proud for being, assuming it's for a cannabis thing, that we're proud that they that we were standing up to that and that we were doing the right thing. And I mean, Sarah, should be proud that she's been helping people and making things happen. And getting arrested for helping people is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, right? So
no, definitely.
Badge of honor. The police really should be ashamed.
You get a whole lot more attaboys, actually. That's for standing up and doing the right thing. And people it just hurts the whole the relationship between the public and the police more. It really does. You said if they would police themselves better, that would go major distance in mending police public relations. If they would self-police themselves, their behaviors, how each of the officers treat the public.
Yeah.
That would do a lot.
Yeah.
But, when they stand behind that thin blue line like they do, then that does nothing but just hurts those relations.
Yep.
It's just the way it is.
Well, so Dana, there's another thing I wanted to talk to you about, and it's funny because we're talking about, and all the health professionals have come out and supported Sarah Blythe, who's doing this illegal thing, and they're all like, well, why is this happening? So many of them, I think Trina Fraser wrote, why, with a question mark, and all the, there's a lot of people sort of not understanding why this would be happening, but as Jody's been pointing out, it's happening because the laws still say that they can do this, and even after legalization, that's not going to change. So all these people, I don't know if they're feigning that they're so astonished by this, or if they just forgot that this is what the laws are going to be, or they just are. I'm not really sure I understand how they're not going to be more. I mean, all of the dispensaries are actually helping people. The people that are like you that have a dispensary are selling to medical patients. These are people in need. They might not be on the downtown east side about to die because they're not using them, but some of them are. Some of them are dying, sick and dying, and using cannabis for relief or to combat the symptoms they have. I don't know.
Some people are just
why
it's a big issue, right? And the
why is there
a
so much shock?
Loose-knit movement, right? There's a lot of individuals, and there's some people who have dispensaries who are not good people, and there's some people who do dispensaries who are saints, right? There's all kinds of people in this movement. It's like there's all kinds, and in life there's all kinds of things, right? But there's a group called the Canadian Association of Medical Cannabis Dispensaries that I'm a founding member of. I'm actually the only founding member of the group that's still in it. Most of the rest of them now work for Canopy, or a couple of them just do other stuff.
CAMCD.
Yeah, they work for Canopy now, Canopy CD. And so there's a debate going on. We actually got a meeting tonight to vote on it. But and we represent about 30 dispensaries or so, right? And they got about 40 or 50 locations between the 30 of us, something like that. And we are, there's a group with the board of directors currently wants to change our name to the Association of Cannabis Retailers, which would take out the word medical and the word dispensary from our name, and they want to kind of make us into a cannabis retailing group. And if you don't abide by the rules of the current system or don't get a permit, then you're no longer a part of the organization. And for an organization that, to me, is founded on civil disobedience and on patients first and patients before profit and dispensaries are indispensable and all these slogans that we would chant, and I look at the legal system and I say, this is not better for patients. Maybe a little bit in some ways, but it's not adequate by any means, and it's certainly not as good as anywhere close to what a dispensary can do now. And I've always said, I'm happy to close my dispensary when we're not needed anymore. If there's a legal system where people can access all the same types of stuff that I'm providing with the same selection and the same or lower prices and everything, and then I'm happy to go do other stuff, right? But until that time, I want to keep serving people that need it. And the legal system they're bringing in is only for dried buds, and even if those dried buds are all the greatest quality and the same that we've got, which they may or may not be, but if we even say they are, they're still, the real medicinal value of cannabis is in the extracts. That's where, smoking joints can be good medicine, but really edibles and capsules and suppositories is where the really strong medicinal value lies. And so I think that we need to, it's those resin glands on that bud that are really the things that we need, right? So dispensaries, I think, still have a role to play. And I'm hoping to convince my fellow dispensary operators, not necessarily not to try to transition into legality, but not to abandon our patients and our members in that way. because maybe there'll be legal access through the legal system in a couple of years to even better quality stuff than I can provide now. But it's not going to be October 18th. It's not going to be January. It's going to be a while, over a year at least. They said it's going to be a year before they bring in edibles, and I predict that everything so far has been behind schedule.
Yeah, but what size milligrams are those edibles?
And who knows how they'll do it? Maybe they'll do a great job with great access to all kinds of stuff, or maybe they'll make it expensive and hard to get, and they'll limit the potency. And I mean, do you think they're going to want to legalize like dabs that are 99% THC? Like, I just feel that maybe I'm wrong, and maybe but I don't think that's going to come in the first round.
Think about what you said. I don't think they're going to do. Or they might do a great job. When has the government done a great job on anything? Yeah, you're very sarcastic. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But I don't think they're gonna, right? But even if they do, it's going to be a couple of years, and probably it's going to be many years. And so I don't want to shut down. I want to keep serving people. I want to keep helping people until that time is done. And I would prefer that our dispensary groups were focusing on how to keep serving patients, how to stay open, alternatives to having a storefront, ideas around doing delivery and expanding mail order and home delivery and legal strategies and court cases. We've got a huge court case going on right now.
I think there should be...
I think there's a lot of arguments still to be made legally and definitely morally for dispensaries to try to keep providing
what's up with CAMCD then? Who is it that's actually making these decisions at CAMCD? And isn't CAMCD governed by the dispensaries that pay to fund it?
Well, it's a board of directors, and so people can run for the board. And I think most of the board that we have was elected by acclamation or whatever. There's not necessarily a ton of people who all want to do the work and do things. Like any group, people. And I don't want to really start going, it's this person or that person who's against me.
But there's a group of people within it that want to change.
It's the board, and they're the board. I mean, they're the ones who are. But they still.
But are you on the board? You're not on the board
at this time. And I actually missed the last board meeting because I was traveling around, although I was, but I don't think we've had enough of a debate within the group. And it's a democratic group. Just because I'm one of the founders doesn't mean I get to dictate everything we do forever.
No.
But from my perspective, there should be a separate group. And there's going to be, I'm sure, BC cannabis associations of retailers and stuff. They'll make some kind of group. Right. And probably it'll be a lot bigger than the people in that room with CAMCD. And I worry because the government wants you to shut down on October 17th and then apply for a permit, and then hopefully you get to reopen one day with a permit. Or you don't get a permit, and then you're paying rent every month while you're waiting to get that permit, and you're kind of in this void land. And maybe they'll be quick and you'll get it fast, or maybe it'll take 6 months or a year and you'll run out of money or whatever. Who knows? It's going to be hard. But I don't think that I don't want to abandon patients in that time. And whether it's 6 months or 6 years, however long it is until dispensaries aren't needed anymore, until we're no longer indispensable, then I want to keep doing it. And I also want others to, too. On the one hand, hey, I'm starting to get busier already. As other dispensaries close down, people are coming to us more. And so there's definitely, I'm seeing a bump, an increase. People say, I used to go to so-and-so place, and they just shut down, so now I'm coming here. And on the one hand, well, great, I'm getting more customers, but I don't really, that's never been my goal, and I don't want to be the only dispensary in town, because, we'll have lineups, but then you're very vulnerable if there's only one place left, right? Our movement only really works when we have critical mass and a lot of people out there doing this. And so I feel like we're winning, we're about to win the war, and now we're all surrendering. Yeah. Right? It's okay, now we're about to get victory. Victory, now we get to close our dispensaries. And it's what? No, that's not, we got to keep pushing. And I'm not against those who want to transition or try to do that, but I don't think we should leave those behind who want to keep providing access. Yeah. And that we got to focus on the standards that the dispensary survives to or has, more than on whether they're following the government regulations or not. If you're following our standards as a group and providing cannabis medicine in a way that goes along with the minimum standards that we have in a responsible way, you can belong to CAMCD, whether or not. But I think we should be talking as a group about survival for dispensaries and how to keep serving patients, and not how to eliminate medical and dispensaries from our name and become a recreational, which is a word I don't even like, but my personal cannabis use focus. If you walk in there, they're not allowed to tell you medical stuff. If you walk into the legal cannabis shop and say, I want one that'll help me sleep better, they can't give you guidance on that. They're not allowed to. They can be fired and lose their permits and be punished. So they're only selling non-medical cannabis. Obviously, if you know what you want, you can go in and use it, and if it makes you feel better, that's great. But there's no there's no knowledge or discussion allowed around it, which is bizarre. There's nothing. If you want
no
medical
consultation.
cannabis, you still got to get it through the medical system and have them mail it to you. But you
now,
still have to pay all the same taxes, though.
Well, Shoppers Drug Mart just got permission to be a licensed producer.
I think it's the only substance that I can think of that's
Well,
easier
shoppers
to
be full
get for
medical, but-
recreational use than to get for medicinal use.
Well, and it doesn't make sense
Like,
that
it
after
just-
fighting in the
it's-
courts
it's
for all these
opposite.
medical rights, the government just doesn't do anything at all with the medical side of it. It makes no sense at all.
Even the whole thing about edibles and extracts being allowed. All the licensed producers are allowed to make is oils with I think 3% THC or
Yeah.
less. It's a very low level, so none of
wrong with
that's,
that?
that's
Your
not going in the
milligrams
spirit.
of edibles,
it's
too,
not
I think.
potent enough to really become a truly medicinal product.
Right. And so, Dana, there's also not just the whole idea of setting up and having to pay the rent every month, just waiting for them to give you a license, but when they actually give you the license, there's waiting to get stock. Because from what everybody's saying, the LPs, there's only 21 LPs here in British Columbia that have signed up with the government to actually provide the government with cannabis, and they're not going to be able to produce even close to enough cannabis for a small fraction of the dispensary.
But there's only
Depends, I mean,
only
well,
one.
there's only going to be one shop, Jeremy.
Well,
Yeah, so I mean,
you can probably
come
get
on,
that
if
one
you're
shop
I
fairly
guess.
well stocked, I would imagine, right? But I mean,
And maybe
they're gonna
that's
have
the
a
way they're
mail system,
doing
although we
it.
could be in the middle of a postal strike, which would be ironic if they legalize it on October 17th and all the postal workers are on strike, because the only way to get it otherwise is through the mail, right? And
Yeah.
I know people are going to, some of that weed's going to get stolen in the mail, because I'm not sure what return address or how they're going to ship it, but if it gets shipped with something saying like, from the BC Liquor and Cannabis branch, like,
Well, no,
people
they'll
are gonna-
probably-
or if it's going to not say that, then how are they going to know if it's legal weed or if it's the weed that I'm sending somebody? Which,
Well, the
which,
whole thing-
which does get stolen on occasion. We're pretty good at it, but definitely there's still like a 0.1%.
It'll have some
theft
code,
rate and stuff.
some
And
code
when
on
I
it,
had to
you
ship
know.
when I this is funny because I shipped plants across Canada, and I talked to Health Canada, and when I shipped anything, they said specifically don't disclose what it is. It's just plain don't say. And if asked or questioned, the documents inside the package. So whoops, put that back in. Don't have. So there's going to be all these unmarked packages being delivered all across Canada. So once you recognize that envelope, you'll know what you're getting.
And there's definitely going to be some thefts, and I imagine they're probably going to have a learning curve on how to package their cannabis so it doesn't get stolen. And there's some pretty tricky postal workers out there who know how to detect cannabis. They'll poke a pin in it to break the vacuum seal. They will run it through a thing or whatever. Like in some of the real northern communities or isolated areas where everybody knows each other, they know that Bob's a stoner in town and he's getting packages from Vancouver every
course.
2 weeks, right? They start like, they figure it out, right? In some areas, and then they start, so.
Oh, yeah.
So I bet that'll be happening too, right? But I'm
sure that already happens.
I think dispensaries are still needed. I don't put anybody else down who's choosing whatever path, but I really think we should be expanding and doing more stuff and not like resisting. We've learned that we can open a couple of hundred weed shops all across the country, for the most part, like not really have that many problems compared to how many there are.
Right.
And ultimately that forces them to legalize. Let's open some psilocybe shops. Let's open some opium parlors. Let's open some other types of substances, and let's get some ayahuasca centers going and all these other kind of things.
But they're threatening Dana to come and destroy them, to come and raid them, take all the stock, give you massive fines.
Fines.
Give people jail time.
Yeah, I remember when
give
they
your
used
landlord
to
jail
threaten
time.
people about bongs. I remember, and people were so scared of opening a bong shop.
they
And those
threaten
laws are all
every
still on the books, right? I mean, those laws are still there. Massive fines for selling bongs. You tell somebody, hey, if you open up a bong shop, you can get a $50,000 fine and 6 months in jail. It's the biggest fine in the criminal code, and it doubles the second time. That sounds pretty terrifying. And in fact, we all qualify right now for pretty severe mandatory minimum sentences under the current law.
Yeah, we do.
I qualify for multi-year minimum sentences for the cannabis, and all my employees do as well. Every
Yep.
single one
Yep.
We're all gonna be in
qualifies
the
for
same
mandatories.
area.
And in Toronto, they all did also, and they charged and they raided, and they had lots of people that they went through. I'm getting all worked. who got convicted? Mark and Jody Emery. 2 people actually got convicted. There was a bunch that had their charges dropped, and there was a big contingent, I think, of like 30 or 40 people that all like basically did a plea and got they did a conditional discharge. Where they're good for 6 months, then they don't have any record. And so that was the worst anybody got. And even Mark and Jody didn't go to jail; they just got fines, right?
Massive fines.
And they were running a very profitable, very big cannabis thing. So I mean, that's the best they could do under the current law. I don't really see we're going to let the police go in without a warrant to take all your marijuana. And I'm like, current law lets police, when you got a sign up saying illegal drugs for sale and people are going in and out and the door's open, police can walk in without a warrant. And if they see marijuana, they can arrest you and take it. They do not need a warrant to raid a dispensary.
In this city, they refuse to, the cops.
It's not, and it's not because the laws aren't strict enough. It's a whole bunch of other reasons about community support, about court decisions, about the money it costs, about the lack of effectiveness in raiding them and how they all reopen again. In Nanaimo, they had over, I think, 15 dispensaries. They thought it was out of control. They raided a whole bunch. And one day, they spent like $250,000 on all these raids. They all reopened a few days later. Then Nanaimo said, shit, maybe we should put some bylaws in and try to regulate them instead, right? And even in Toronto,
they didn't do that, though.
Raid after raid, and they got some places to close down, but Toronto still has a ton of dispensaries, and the raids. I know they're still happening, but it's not as much as it used to be. It feels like it's slowed down a lot. Maybe they're just not making the news as much, but I feel like we have the power because of our court system and because of how Canada law works. We have the power to withstand more raids than they can lay out, and because our courts, because we're in a country where you don't get a bullet in the head and you don't get a 20-year jail sentence,
they're making higher penalties now.
We're able to do that, huh?
The penalties are now 14 years in jail.
14 years.
Well, I guess the mandatory minimums were pretty long too. So you're absolutely right. It doesn't really matter what they say.
Some of the sentences are longer now for some of the offenses on the list, although and the mandatories, I guess, the mandatories aren't in there anymore, and those are mostly. But I do think, I think we still have the courts to protect us on some of this stuff. And, I think a lot of these things are very extreme. And we're going to challenge and mess with them in every way we can, right? I was thinking about the one law that I hate the most in BC is the one that you can't let anybody see any of your 4 plants. Mm-hmm. They can't be visible from the street. And I was thinking, well, if they go there and they say, well, this is a marijuana plant visible from the street, and you say, that's not marijuana, then what are they going to do? They have to go get it tested to prove that it was cannabis, right? I don't think just them looking at it is enough to declare that that's a cannabis plant. And I thought it'd be fun to get some Japanese maple or something that looks a lot like cannabis.
I got one. It's
something and get them to but I mean, you just say that's not. I don't know. It's not. That's not it. I don't care what you say. You gotta. It's going to be interesting, anyways, how we challenge this stuff. But I think we should be expanding, opening more, doing more stuff. This whole surrendering now that we're on the verge of legalization. No, our tactics are working. Let's keep doing it even more.
My thing I'm worried not worried, but I'm curious is the fact if I grow plants on my balcony, I'm 14 floors up.
You can't grow plants on your balcony.
What?
Because
if 14 floors up, is that visible from the street?
Well, even if it is visible because my railings are clear glass, so they looks like there's no railings. So you could see them. But are you able to tell they're cannabis plants from 14 floors?
Aren't you a medical grower though? Well, if you have your medical permit, you can put your plants on your front lawn, right? Then they can't stop you. It's only those 4 legal
medical's going to trump.
You can't do, but they can't forbid medical users.
Everybody's got to get a medical license.
The point is, can you identify a species of a plant from 14 floors? Looking up at the building, you can say, well, there's plants on the balcony, but how good are your you're not going to be able to determine.
A neighbor would have to rat you out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Somebody would have to be a lot closer. But I mean, are the cops going to be, standing on the street going, "Oh, there's plants on balconies on a dozen of those balconies. We're going to go up to the 28th floor and start looking on everybody's because we can see plants because you're not
okay. Wait a second here. You're going to like this one.
Matt Murnau's case. Matt Murnau had him on his balcony in his court case.
But how high was his balcony? Of 2 floors?
I don't know. I think his neighbor ratted him out or something.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a balcony.
Visible without. If you have to use binoculars, it doesn't count. They have to be visible to the naked eye from the street. Although what visible is how small of a green smudge it has to be before it's considered visible, or who can see it. I don't know. But
you got to determine.
There's Carly.
You see a green plant. Well, you can't say that's cannabis if you can't tell from looking at it from the street. Then it's obviously shouldn't be a point.
I want to plant Japanese maple everywhere and then call the cops on it and confuse them and stuff and like.
Yeah, when the cops were in my place, they told me Japanese maple wasn't marijuana. He said, "How'd you get it to turn purple?" And I said, "It's fucking Japanese."
Brian's talking over there.
So you should bring your chair over. We can move the camera.
I'm just curious though, because BC, Vancouver in particular, really all of Canada is having issues with housing, right? And BC's done all sorts of things to put these housing programs in for micro suites. Like where I used to live before was a program that BC helped out with, and it was a really nice place, but the units were like 9 feet by 9 feet, like really small. And physically, there would be nowhere to grow except right near the window, and it's only on the 3rd story up, and it's on a busy street. So what? Everybody who is trying to do their best to have affordable housing and have, you know, their own independent place where they're not with like 8 other roommates and start on their own in Vancouver, they don't have the option to grow. They have to go through the whole medical process, which is strenuous and takes a long time and is stressful, and a lot of the time doesn't even work out with people. Or are we just going to eliminate all those people from a huge part of legalization, which is growing?
Yeah, the provincial rules are really discriminated against poor people and people who don't.
There's a lot of
have
people
their
on
own
stratas that
property.
have already been crossed that they can't grow in a lot of stratas. A lot of these things, there's no smoke zones, pretty much everywhere. So, if you're living in a place in Vancouver and you're renting in a condominium or a condo, if you're a low-income housing, you're done.
Oh yeah,
you're not growing.
Or really
up.
any
You're
renter.
not smoking in your place.
Any renter.
You
can't smoke
can't
in your own
do
condo
anything.
in
You can't even
Vancouver.
smoke in your own condo. So here's my biggest.
There's
fight that
not
I'm
going to be a
talking about.
renter in town.
These
or a
places,
person
where
who has
are we
rentals
going to
that
be able
allows
to
it.
patients? Where can they medicate? Where are they? Because we've been fighting this for so long, and a lot of them been going to these clubs and being able to go in there because a lot of these places used to have places where they're able to medicate and then be able to use and smoke lounges and stuff like that.
They're going to have to license lounges.
Smoke lounges have to happen. There have to
Because
be
they say there's
involved
no
in a
vaping-
legal system.
No vaping or smoking in a workplace, and so they've forbidden that. And when I talked to
That's WorkSafe
Mike
BC,
Farnworth
isn't it?
about that, as a public safety minister, he said, "Well, they're going to be having these drinks soon, and you can have your drinks, right?" And I was like, "That's not like I'm not against people wanting to drink cannabis. Go ahead, but the idea that we're going to hang out in like a marijuana bar and just drink our cannabis drinks." It's the wrong way to use cannabis because people don't want it. If we could drink it, we would do it already. People do sometimes, but but smoking is like way more popular because inhaling is the safer way to use it.
Well,
you get an immediate effect.
it absorbs
and if they
quicker.
encourage us to drink it, I said drinking should be allowed, but if they encourage us as being the only choice, people are going to mix it with alcohol, and especially when the same companies are selling both products and eating
It's a
cannabis
bad
food
idea.
and drinking cannabis and alcohol together, that will cause car accidents. That does going to cause problems.
Yeah.
All the bad things they worry about cannabis,
and the
you know,
amount
it's the
of
wrong
time.
way to use it.
The amount of time they're forcing people to sacrifice a huge amount of time. I can go into a coffee shop or a bar or anywhere else and sit and have a drink and then leave, and I'll have the effects of that substance. You can't do that with cannabis because cannabis edibles or drinks or tinctures or whatever it is, if you're consuming it orally, it's going to take half an hour
Yeah,
to 45 minutes to kick in,
actually,
and a
it
lot of
can
take
time,
longer than
it's not
45
even going to be
minutes.
potent.
It could be an
enough,
hour.
You know?
I'm
It
the
could be an
10, 15
hour.
minute
So
guy.
you're waiting an hour and a half before sometimes before the effects even kick in. Then you sit around for another half hour to actually socialize with other people who are experiencing the effects. Why do I
That's
have
ridiculous.
to sit in a bar for 2 hours to enjoy experiencing cannabis
Makes
with
no
someone
sense.
when I can go to a bar, take a shot with someone, and enjoy alcohol?
It
in
just
2
shows
minutes?
you what it
Okay,
shows
so
you is that
vapor lounges and
Farnworth
smoke
has
lounges
no
need more
idea
of.
what he's doing.
They're not thinking, right? They're listening to all the anti stuff, and they're creating laws that aren't going to be respected, and then they're going to be impossible to enforce, and it just sets up all these conflicts. And I don't really know who the lobby is that's saying like we don't want, like all they have to say is if cities allow it, right? They can pass with the cities, so they don't have to make them, but then they can give cities the power to license places if they want to, and maybe put in some ventilation rules or some things, and that kind of stuff's fine, right? Some reasonable accommodation, right? But to just ban it entirely indoors, ban it entirely outdoors, ban it from your home, you can't grow it, you can't smoke it anywhere. But happy legalization day.
Well, we already
guys.
have,
Like, come on.
was it
Well, I think-
Manitoba
What a
can't
joke.
grow in?
I
We already
think
have
it'd be-
provinces that are completely disallowing entirely.
Manitoba and Quebec.
In Quebec. So I mean, that doesn't make any sense where legalization comes into play, and then the province say, actually, no, you can't do that. Yeah, we know they, but
Well, are you look?
Municipalities too. Some municipalities are saying no cannabis.
Well, how about Richmond? You
It's
can't.
not
There's no
okay.
cannabis allowed, but they're going to be housing all of the cannabis going to be distributed for BC. That's
There
what I'm
should have
hearing.
been something in the federal
really? That's
Yeah, you didn't hear about this one? Oh, so
municipalities cannot
Dana's
outright,
smiling about this. Yeah,
like
this is
outlaw cannabis.
They're
They should have
making it so
protected
easy
some
for
of
them to ban it everywhere. It's wrong.
right. So they're going to ban it in one area, yeah, but that's where they're going to warehouse it to
So-
supply the rest
so
of
what
the
we're gonna see there-
municipalities.
we're
And then how
gonna
long is it
see
going to sit
there
on the
is-
shelf? Like they're going to put it in a container. It's going to be shaken around and shipped
I don't
to
even know
different
why
layers,
the province
put on a
has to
shelf,
hold
and
it.
then maybe in 6 months it gets sold to somebody at a different location. Then it sits on their shelf for how long? How long is that cannabis going to be sitting inside that container? And these containers aren't like in there tight. They're in a container that's going to shaking around. We've seen that. We've all seen these containers.
It's they should be able to ship it right to the company, like right to the seller, right?
It's kind of like, well, we go to clubs, but we
wholesaling
see
it.
that freshness come out of a bag. It goes into a jar. You get to see that dispensing mechanism happen. We're not going to be seeing it when, say, like our company on the other side of the country supplying BC, and that strain comes down. It's got to be shipped to a warehouse. Then it's got to be distributed. I mean, we do that with products.
I'm getting my weed in cans, sealed.
Sealed cans?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Sticky Zoo.
Yeah, those little
tin cans.
You know where I'm getting mine? I'm getting mine from my garage. I grow it myself.
I'm really happy with their
I
ganja.
cure it properly and I hang dry it. And I
Very
sift
legal.
all those trichomes. Grow your own. I mean, I don't understand those whole laws in Quebec and Manitoba, and I think we all have to stand up and fight for that because don't give someone the right to grow for the country and then in between go, actually, no, you can't.
Well, the thing is, what we're going to see here, if there's provinces or municipalities where they have really strict regulations or regulations that say no cannabis consumption, no cannabis growing, no cannabis anything, our laws aren't changing, then you're going to have the same thing that you see in Chicago where it's like they have the strictest gun laws, but because of that, it creates a hub for the black market. So these places where they completely outlaw
maybe they're
those are
doing it
gonna be
because
the
it's already
hub of
exists and
criminal
they know it. They're
activity.
like, you know what, we got too much of a black market here, so we're just gonna ban it for right now.
The other provinces, but in Quebec, it's because they don't want to change the structure that they have now. They've got a good arrangement with the gangsters. The gangsters run the province. They're okay with that.
Also, Quebec is a different kind of place. When I was there on my trip this summer, I found out, a few things. First of all, you got to understand, Quebec is the most unfriendly province towards motorcyclists.
In general.
No, they really are. They have a history of being, and because they have a very violent history with biker gangs, and due to the very strong religious sort of overtones in Quebec, it's very church-oriented, they automatically associate weed and bikers. And that's a big part of it. I found out when I was there.
That's been BC up until probably.
They had
Hells Angels
they
had
had
some
some
pretty big
terrible
battles,
times.
right?
They had a lot of people were killed. No, and I get it. I understand the problem, but that
What are you looking
is
for?
part of the problem with cannabis in
You need a
Quebec
tip for it.
because you're talking to people who are very church oriented. They're sort of from they're it's like talking to someone from the 50s. Right? It's like, oh no, marijuana, the bikers, that's just garbage, and they just don't see any of the good.
French people are very Christian, very church oriented. All of their swear words are about the church. Literally all of them have to do with the church. Yeah.
No, it's a
It's
great
true,
province.
it's
I loved
it's
it
a
there, and
beautiful
it was a
place.
great place. But
Very different culture, though.
it was not the place for guys like me to be hanging out. It was just get through here. And as soon as
Love their alcohol, though.
as soon as I don't drink, but as soon as I got to New Brunswick, it was southern New Brunswick, not north, because north is still pretty much like Quebec, but down towards
From
Moncton
Nova
and
Scotia.
stuff, all great weed. As a matter of fact, I had a guy from my Facebook. I got into Moncton about midnight, and I went on Facebook, and he was like, "Yeah, no problem. I'll just slide over. Where are you?" And delivered some weed to me, some great weed, So I didn't have to do without because we were out of there in the morning. It was
Nice.
So
There you go.
good
This was
people
nice
all
about the
across.
community.
That was part of the way I scored weed all across Canada. Was I just went on my Facebook and
Went high.
hey, where's my homies in whatever town, and I'll hook you up, Opus, when you come through town. Give me a call. I was like, yeah, I got it. So that's how
there
I
you go.
scored. Other than Ontario on the reserve where there was 60 dispensaries. One gas station had 3 dispensaries in the same gas station.
Yes.
One of them was called Drive-Through Cannabis
Where was that?
on the Mohawk Reserve in
Oh, nice,
Tendiega
nice,
there,
nice,
just
nice.
outside of Kingston. It's about
That's a whole
it's
other
about a
talk
30
conversation.
minute drive east of Kingston, just outside of Kingston. And I can assure you that I'm sure a huge portion of people in the Kingston area go to this reserve to score weed. Like I say, every single gas station. There's an article up on Cannabis Culture. I just wrote about it. While I was researching, I found Vice Magazine did an article on it last year. There was a dozen dispensaries. So I'm there a year later, there's 60. Like, I swear to God, it was like, we pulled into a gas station. There was 3 dispensaries, a native art store, and a convenience store. And the only place that was closed was the native art store. They've decided it's better off to just sell weed. Never mind selling carvings and stuff, right? It's
So
like,
how
it's
busy
kinda
were these
funny.
places? Were they quite busy?
Oh, they were all busy. The one place was drive-through cannabis. Had like just a shack, like that had probably been lifted off the back of a trailer and set down in the edge of the parking lot. People were just driving through and scoring weed. The other place was called Cannabis Convenience. And the other one was, and this was in the one shop, was Big Greens Cannabis.
That's so awesome.
I scored at the place called Medibles, which was really good. They had a couple of big counters, huge selection of what looked like all good weed. I scored 2 kinds of indica, and they were both very good.
Did you get pictures of all the dispensaries?
No, I was really rolling through there, and it was hot, dude. It was
that-
just ugly. It was unfortunate. I was pressed for
shit.
time. I wasn't really. Dude, I'd like to have done a more thorough look through there and checked it out. It's a story and a half in there, easy. Yeah.
We'll send you back on location.
You should.
I gotta go. I'm gonna take off. I got this meeting tonight. I don't want to be late. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming
Thanks
on,
for
Dana,
coming by,
and
Dana.
sharing that info with us. And yes, please keep fighting it up. So you're headed to a meeting to try to give them your side of
CAMCD
things.
meeting. It might be the last CAMCD meeting ever, because if this meeting, if they pass these resolutions, the group will change their name and become something different.
Has there been anybody on the board who supports your position?
I definitely stirred some things up over the last few days. You got people talking, and I'm not sure everybody sort of realized what path we were going down, and what this is going to do for us, and you know, a lot of this, I don't know. We'll see what happens. And
Shared your post for that.
yeah, I've posted quite a few things in the last few days, and I definitely got dispensaries talking about this and where we're going and what. And you know, CAMCD, it's a group I believe in, but it's only 30 dispensaries out of quite a large number out there, obviously. But I do think it's the ones that, you know, a lot of them have been around a very long time, and the ones that are the most kind of political and the most sort of activist oriented and the ones that aren't just in there to kind of get a quick buck or whatever, right? Or at least that's what I thought anyways, right? So we'll see how things go, but I don't want to. So I'm not trying to attack the other people that are doing that. I just think it's a very dangerous path that we're going down, and that we need to really consider what we're doing and not just fold. You know, we're offered this little bit of change in the laws, and we all just, now we must comply. And it's like, no,
Well, it's
I don't really
weird
wanna
that CAMCD's
comply.
okay with giving their patients that stuff that comes from the LPs only. Like, what about access to all the other important things? Like, they're not available through the LPs.
Well, that's what I say. We always talk about a
Well, any
continuum
kind
of
of
care,
extraction.
patients first, and profit. You know, patients over profit. And when you're deciding to go into the other system, that's not putting patients first in the short term or in the long term. You know, and I understand some people are scared, and I can't make decisions for other people. But CAMCD should be for those who are medical cannabis dispensaries. It's in the name. Let's keep that in the name and keep being medical cannabis dispensaries. And if you want to do something else, then you should not change this group, because all the money that's gone on to CAMCD is from dispensaries, and the dispensaries get all their money from patients. So this is a patient-funded organization as far as I'm concerned. And so for patients to fund a group that's a medically focused, patients first, dispensaries are indispensable. But now we're saying, well, actually dispensaries are expendable, and patients, you know, it's going to be good for you in a few years. We're going to work from the inside to fix stuff. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. My job is not to work from the inside for a later future date. My job is to do stuff right now for those who need it. And if that means that maybe it harms my long-term ability to have things, to me, that's not putting patients first, right? Like, I want to help people out there now, and I want to keep doing it. And I didn't get into this so that I could sell cannabis. Like, I don't care about having a legal weed shop personally. I think selling weed is kind of boring in and of itself. It's interesting to me because no one else is doing it, because people need it, and it's a place I can make a difference. But said if the world would turn and everybody had access and my dispensary was no longer needed, I wouldn't be like, oh shit, now I'm out of business. I'd be like, great, we won finally. You know, everybody's got what I can provide. I don't need to do that anymore, and I can go do something else. So that's, you know, my philosophy. But I know a lot of people, it's their livelihood.
But Dana, you do it so well, and you do it with integrity and passion and quality, and so that's why people come to it.
Yeah,
so,
no, and I mean, I love having our dispensary. I don't mean like it's boring. I just mean that if in a legal society where I didn't get into this so I could have a weed shop, right? Like,
Right.
I want my weed shop to go out of business because there's 1,000 other ones that are even better out there. That, to me, is great. Then I'll do
I bet your patients would never want you to go out of business.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, sure. I'm not, but you know what I'm saying, right? My goal isn't to preserve my shop. My goal has always been to teach others
Right.
to have places, to
I
try
get
to
that.
build a movement, right? Because I don't, I'll open a psilocybe shop or I'll do something other thing, right? There's plenty of other things that I could be doing, right? I don't.
You should do that.
And I'm probably
Definitely
going to do some
do
of that
that.
stuff anyways. That's for another time, but I do have some other projects on the go, and you might be hearing about some of those other things over the coming weeks and months.
We will be.
Very cool.
Okay, I got to run though, so thank you.
Okay, Dana, thanks for coming on.
Dana.
Dana Larsen. And you can find, what's the address of the shop?
880 East Hastings.
880 East Hastings Street.
Thurlow and Davie.
And then the one at Thurlow and Davie. That's the medical cannabis dispensary here in Vancouver. I think I always forget the full name. Woo! Hi, Carly Marley.
Look at this. It's almost like we're doing a show again.
Oh, that's true. This is fun.
How you like
Yeah.
that? We should
I
just,
like it.
We should just take over and start doing this.
You guys can
the
take
420
5.
lifestyle show, like right here, right now. We'll just turn this right into the.
420 lifestyle takeover.
Yeah.
Just like old times.
Yeah.
It is. So, yeah, we've been doing this dispensary talk today about.
Oh, we should pull
Oh, hello. Yeah.
Drop into Pod TV Day like every day.
Well, it's a good thing. We're getting lots of topics up, and
You're
you know
always
what?
welcome. Yeah, come say hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
A lot of these clubs that are under
Some of
attack
this
right
action,
now. We know we had the court case last week, and we're kind of waiting on that verdict to see what's going to happen. And
yes.
there's a few that are holding on.
So, we have a person here who hasn't ever been in the building before. Can't you, babe?
First time. Wow. Well, welcome.
Ganja, babe.
Well, first time in Vancouver?
So where,
Well, nice. You got a
the
joint in your
camera
hand
on
and you're
yet,
on Pod
but-
TV. Isn't that a great way to walk into Vancouver and say hi?
I was trying to
Great
find
to
your
see you.
Twitter here and your.
Oh my god, I think it's like Ganja Babe, the babe with 2 A's
Ganja
and
Babe?
underscore 819.
I haven't met you. I'm
Or
John.
What are you?
Nice
Are
to
you
meet you.
stronger on your?
Have we?
Are you stronger
Have
on
we?
the
Well, you know what? I've been at a lot of expos.
Insta G?
I know it's kind of like crazy right
We can
now.
even
It's
get
like
it up
where do
over
you
there,
go?
might
That
go
there's
show
so many
off
different
on
kinds.
Instagram or something.
Okay. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
an event there right now.
So-
No, Montreal.
Yeah, for her, Ganja Babe's first time here. It's pretty amazing because we know each other fairly well. You're a great activist who's been doing this for a long time, but it's all been out on that side of the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely miss having the cannabis culture in Ottawa. It was such a fun time. But
No kidding. I know.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you
It's
guys
okay.
did such an amazing job with that location in Ottawa, and
it
man.
was dope. Everybody loved it. We had a lot of sad people that were sad that we got evicted from the
No kidding.
location, but we had another store that we opened under another name, and it's been going pretty well. So a lot of our clients just decided to go there instead.
Well, yeah,
So
because
it's
you
good.
guys do it with integrity. So
Yeah.
it was really sad that we couldn't continue that, but they were coming down hard. We didn't want to put anybody at risk, and so we just kind of had to do that. But and then because they came and raided, like pretty, these things are pretty brutal when it gets down to it. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, but it's good to have you here.
Thank you. I just wanted to come say hi. I was just chilling in the lounge for the first time. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and so this
Check
is
off the bucket list.
you haven't seen
Check off
yeah
the
you
bucket
just came
list.
to
That's a good thing.
CCHQ. Yeah. How long are you in town for?
I'm here till Tuesday, so I
Tuesday.
think I might be coming on the show. With
Definitely.
Heck yes, she is.
I think so. I don't know. I'm probably gonna say hi. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and you have to check out Davie Street as well. I think I told you that
me that
before.
earlier. I'm
Davie's
definitely gonna check
awesome. Yeah, it's a fun place. But and you should check out High
I'll
Score.
come by tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a party at High Score this
I have no
weekend.
plans. I'm just coming to chill.
Well, now you
Yeah.
do. You got plans.
So now I got plans.
Yeah, if you're out there watching, Vancouverites, come on down to the High Score party tomorrow night, 649 East Hastings Street. Play some retro video games, get high, sit at the dab bar with us.
Get high.
Get high.
Get high.
Yeah. Get high, drink some. Yeah, amazing.
Scores, some high scores on some retro video
They got Simpsons,
games.
by the way,
Some old
pinball.
Consoles, play some pinball.
So they got some great
have
pinball
Sega?
machines.
We do have,
You do have
Sega
Sega.
Genesis with 85 games.
That's the one on the left hand side.
Yeah,
when you
that-
first walk in,
and
it's on the
PGA
right.
golf.
Oh yeah, Yeah,
You're
definitely.
kidding me.
No, for
Uh-oh.
sure.
You
Guaranteed.
get hooked.
Yeah, we have, and
Can't do
actually
anything
on
about it.
on the 4-player stand-up, I think there's like more than 85 games. There's like 600
got
Genesis
Road
games,
Rash?
or maybe more. Yeah. Road Rash for sure.
You're
Guaranteed
kidding.
we have Road Rash.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I love Road
I
Rash.
haven't played
You
that.
like
Doing
run
that.
into the cows and shit on your
Yeah, I
motorbike, and they're like,
haven't done that in- I haven't played that
yeah.
in decades. That's hilarious.
I want to play some fucking Road Rash, man. I'm gonna go play that later tonight.
You and me have to play some Road Rash.
Yeah, and high scores open every day from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. currently. We're going to extend the hours soon as more people are going. So get down there if you like retro video games and weed and candy.
If you just like to have a place, the best part
We have a lot
about
of
it,
candy there.
best part about it, yeah, there's lots of candy. Like where can you go anywhere and play video games and smoke weed?
Besides
High
the
score.
living room.
Besides your living room.
Besides, well, your living
friends'
room,
living
but it's different. Like when you can actually get together and call your buddies, hey, what are you doing? Hey, let's get on down to high score. It's like, it's just not, don't get on there by yourself. It's like, get a hold of some of your friends that are all hanging out and, go down. Like say, I like to play the pinball. I finally got in there. I love playing pinball. So now we're trying to kind of make a thing with stop buying, high go and play a few
Yeah.
games of
I was
pinball.
And we've
gonna
got
say,
some
in
stand-up
the old
arcade
days,
games,
It was
too.
known as your dealer's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
And it's
That's
not
what I agree behind
it's not just
everything that
consoles. We have like the arcade
Oh, no,
stand-ups.
you
Oh yeah, you got the
Pac-Man, Mario
Pac-Man
Brothers.
and stuff like that.
Smoke some weed. Yeah.
You like to sit there and blaze, smoke
Other
some
people
weed,
show
play
up
play
and
games, and
It's an unbeatable combination, video games and weed. And just to
For
be able
sure.
to do it in a space where it's like, doesn't matter how many people are there, it doesn't matter, there's always enough drinks, there's always enough munchies, you don't have to worry about having people over, you can just go to high score and get high and play video games for hours.
No mess to
So
clean up
awesome.
after
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Someone else will clean the bong up
We have
for
people
you.
to do that.
There you go.
Yes.
Yep.
Clean bong every time.
649 East Hastings.
or of course
Get
bring
down
your
there.
own bong. Don't forget that. Of course, bring your own bong. Like
You can bring your own bong if you want
bring your own
to.
bong.
You got
You have to have
some
do
nice
some-
glass
we'll have to-
shots.
have to get in
Come
there.
on, bring it down.
Yeah, or you can use one of our bongs because we have a whole bunch there.
And some locally made glass too, as well.
We do.
Isn't
Some
that like
Nico
a-
pieces and stuff.
There you go.
Pieces.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
something that makes me very happy is that High Score
We
has
need to
been
get
putting
the
in an
glass
effort to
pieces
be
in there.
as eco-friendly as possible, and they aren't using regular one-time use disposable coffee stir sticks. They got Nico to make reusable glass stir sticks, which are way more environmentally friendly, and it makes me so
There you go.
happy. So
Yeah.
not only is it super cool and has retro video games, but they're also making an effort to be eco-friendly. So if
When
it's
you don't-
right,
right now
We
you
do have coffee.
Right now, you don't have a choice in Canada. You have to have that. Those laws have been passed. You can't use. They have to
I
be
got a
paper
straw
straws.
today
And I think there's certain
from
things
Chronic
where you-
Taco.
I think there's certain things
report
where if
them.
it's biodegradable,
Report them.
Report
and
them.
somebody has
That's
to ask
terrible.
in a restaurant.
No, I like my straws.
No,
So
there is
even
some
if it
stuff
is
that was passed by
biodegradable,
the
they have to be
G7
asked,
thing.
so.
There's summit, and it was in Halifax yesterday. It was all about the plastics that were in the oceans. It was actually quite disturbing to watch the amount of plastic
It
and,
is.
It
and
is
the
pretty
amount of
terrible.
bags and the turtles that are.
But is that the
consuming
straws'
bags
fault?
and
Even the
stuff
glass
like that?
isn't
It's-
even better than the biodegradable or the
Glass
wooden and
things.
compostable.
Why don't they just make the
'cause you
straw
can just
out of
clean
something
it.
else?
And I
They
saw
do.
it.
There
Make it out of
is-
paper
there
or
is
some shit.
There is biodegradable straws. There's
Wax
paper
and
straws.
paper.
The paper straws break down in the drinks and ruin the drinks.
I think they should make cannabis.
The biodegradable
No, they
straws
don't.
are still a plastic that take a while to break down. If people are looking for a really awesome, very quickly compostable alternative, you can actually get
Hemp straws.
No. I know I've been looking everywhere. I
Conversation.
can't find them anywhere yet. Somebody make them, please.
Hemp straws.
Pasta straws. They don't change the flavor.
Pasta.
You can put them in the compost, and they look really nice. Like they look
Yeah,
fun.
kinda
there's
funny.
glass
Yeah,
straws,
they're,
like what
they're
you're saying.
affordable.
Glass
Pasta straws.
Glass
so
straws.
if you're looking
straws.
around for some straws that are good, you don't have to clean every time.
There you go.
Pasta
There you
straw.
go.
You know what's really good about a
saw people
straw?
using
You can
stainless
actually
steel.
use it.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
I want to get
stainless
Nico to make
steel
me a
straws,
straw,
yeah.
and I'll just bring it and clean
You
it
could
out.
make the pasta straws, but make them like red or green and put
all the different colorful
Yeah.
pastas. That's true. I wanted.
Yeah.
There's a website you can literally go on pasta straws, and I think it's just pastastraws.com.
That's a
and
good
they have
idea.
all sorts of stuff. You can wholesale them. So
Nothing wrong with that.
no, I think it's pretty cool.
I actually saw though.
Yeah,
some
you
guy-
could cook them up if you're hungry. They're like really long pennes.
Pasta
But
straws.
check this out. I was at Superstore and saw a guy when they said they were going to ban the straws. This was like a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Had a shopping cart full of plastic straws. Like literally went to superstore.
Black market. There's probably
and
black market for
I know.
people.
I'm
He's
sure
using
he's
a
probably
plastic
not
straw for the
But
last
they
30
still-
years.
I bet he's got a cart or something.
They still
He's got
have
a
them in
hot
every
dog
restaurant, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What are
But
they
I
gonna
just
give you in
thought
the
to
drive-thru?
myself, you know, this guy is obviously determined to use them till the very end, like not just adapt. Like, no, go and buy.
What about it? What about it? The Jugo juice. What are they gonna give me for my smoothie?
Or paper.
Well, they're gonna start being able to. Hopefully, these jugo juice places and stuff like that, you'll be able to go there and just get like now with legalization, you should be able to get like infused CBD crystal in there.
The thing is that I think some people that is
That
going
would
to
be cool.
definitely happen if you go to the grocery store. It's all
Why
over the
not?
place, and like
Why can't I get a smoothie and
family
can't you
members that
throw
don't
like
medicate and
6
asking when
milligrams
that's
and
gonna
8
happen.
milligrams
Cannabis
of this into
smoothies.
there? Why can't it come in? Oh, can I get a little bit of CBD?
Yeah, that's your-
Hemp-seed in every
add some
smoothie.
THCV.
That's your
and,
booster- your booster
Can you
juice.
boost it with 2 shots
You
of
can't get hemp
THCA?
seed. You
Boost
can't get
it.
hemp seed.
Come
in your
on.
Jugo juice now.
That'd be kind of
which
fun, right?
So we got
Pretty awesome.
we also
Coming
have
soon
Spicoli
to your
here.
local
Now I've got
smoothie store.
videos I want to play
Cannabis.
on the show. We have videos that we haven't played from last week
We're playing
actually,
videos?
and a new one we played already with
I
Opus.
thought we just talking about
But
video gaming.
we also have. Are you out of here?
Are you outta here?
Awesome.
Speaking of,
Bye.
I'm gonna
Ganja
be
Babe.
flying to
And
guys.
so wait. What was the
Yeah, wait,
Instagram or
wait.
Twitter? Where do you want to send people?
Ganja Ben.
Ganja Babe, Babe with 2 A's on Instagram. That's the one I was looking for.
Where you going?
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
wait
see
a
you soon.
second here. So I've been watching this being made since I got here.
Okay, well, this is the first. Well, we made one 2 weeks ago. This one's interchangeable. We got.
Oh yeah, he's been working on this here in the studio.
This is gonna be like the travel Canon, not like the big love Canon. But I'm planning on maybe taking this one to the Harvest Cup next year. This cup a week from today, right? The
Yeah.
Harvest Cup?
Yep.
So I might be planning on going there
The
because
Sask Prairie Cup,
because
saskprairiecup.ca.
the video offer canceled.
Friendliest cup.
So it's the friendliest cup. So
Friendliest
I might
cup.
go there. But we're gonna give this a shot because last week it worked pretty good. And
Oh shit, here we go. It's out of control.
There we go.
Woo! It's running wild.
Oh, that smells good.
Here, give me some of that.
That's good.
Watch out for the end of it because it'll spray hot coals at you.
Okay, that rocks.
That's pretty amazing.
There's still more in there. That's incredible.
So pretty much all you have to do is go to Canadian Tire or anything like that and get yourself an electric float pump.
Yeah, so you need a blow float pump.
You just need an electric float
It's
pump.
no, it's a.
$20 blasting tube, a $20 blasting tube from the Cannabis Culture store downstairs.
Yep.
The $25.
307 West Hastings.
The 20. Yeah, that's the address. You need the pump. You need the interchangeable mouthpiece.
Screen, silicone.
It just sticks right in the rubber.
And yeah.
And you tape that in with duct tape.
Oh yeah, I got a thing.
Or electrical tape, gorilla tape. Yeah.
So all
Electro
in $50, and you got a portable little love cannon that you can probably stash in your car and get to the.
No, the best part about that is you can go over to a party in a small room, turn that thing on, hot box that room in minutes. And I mean, we're talking like, we're talking like,
Spicoli, will
you need a
put-
couple of those.
Put
things
that,
going on,
hold it
right?
up to the camera a little closer so they can see it's a Coleman product, isn't it?
Yeah,
The pump?
it was a Coleman product.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is a little plug for Coleman. So,
Yeah.
but
So
definitely,
a Coleman 4D quad something.
I have a
When are we
flow
gonna
pump
get
at
you
home,
next
electric
to a
one.
how-to video
Quick
on
pump,
how to
quick
make
pump.
these?
Well,
Yeah,
maybe-
they got different ends on it. They can have
maybe I
different
come
little pieces.
Tuesday to when
Love it.
Ganja Girl comes, because I'm gonna maybe be in town still Tuesday before the
Ow.
Harvest Cup. So I'll come maybe give you the how-to on your show.
Cool. My show's on Monday, not Tuesday.
Monday.
Monday. Cool.
How-to.
Yeah, Carly Marley.
Tune into the 420.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that because I was sitting here, I was feeling like, let's see when I did that nice big bong rip.
already, and I'm real high from like crispy.
Crispy.
Spicoli's got a bowling date for 7:30, so
Oh, cute.
I'm out.
Spicoli's got a bowlie.
Yeah,
You're going
Spicoli's got a
bowling.
bowling. Yeah, I gotta go
Yeah.
bowling in Richmond.
Enjoy your bowling.
Nice.
All right, well, you guys
Bowling, I totally forgot about that sport.
Happy fucking Friday, and I'll check you Monday.
See you, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Carly Marley will teach you how to make the.
There you
the
go.
Travel love cannon that's taking you to the
On the
Harvest
420
Tune
Build
in
It
on
show
Monday.
with Carly Marley.
We like crafts.
She's like Tool, Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty. You know what?
I like crafting. We do a lot of crafts.
That's just one of these great little things that people like to do, and that was a quick little I liked it. That thing got me give me a nice little bong rap.
Look at you.
Huh?
Yeah, you
Oh,
got
I needed
blasted.
that. I needed that.
It's good for the eyes
It's
too.
good for the eyes. It gets a little
really
bit of
good for the
cannabinoids
dry.
into the hair. It cleans up the
It's
skin.
Vicodin for you. We do have videos, don't we? I lost. I don't.
Are we
have
gonna
my
mention
list.
that amazing crazy stalk that happened there in the last basically
Oh,
couple
Tilray?
days? And Tilray.
Did you get rich, Johnny?
No. No, I didn't invest in Tilray.
No.
No.
Me neither. I don't invest in any.
But you know what? When a stock goes from $18 to I think it hit max at $230, and it went from to an $18 billion company. It was rated there the other day. Is that worth? And then of course it
an $18 billion company was rated.
It was rated. It was worth $18 billion. Like the stocks are worth $18 billion.
Right.
That's what they said on the news. I think it was last night.
Tilray went nuts. It's gone wild, up and down. But the people,
it's down.
The two
now.
guys who own it they each have $2.4 billion to their name. These guys.
Yeah.
The privateer holdings guys.
Well, they got more than that now.
Oh yeah, no, they're rich as F.
Oh, rich as F. Well, hopefully with someone like, friends of ours like Philip Lucas working behind us and doing the research there, hopefully the money and what they're doing is what they're doing with PTSD and the work with U.S. government and working on different things to help people with pain or PTSD and stuff like that. Maybe with the money funding that now and with the big money being involved, we're going to see some really big strides and breakthroughs in the medical industry. That's what I see. I look at positive parts of this and seeing how it's going to work out. And I see the research being done by Philip. And
they have a ton of money.
They got a ton of money to hopefully do a lot of good things with, right?
Yeah, I hope they do.
And there's a lot of good people inside that company. So.
Yeah, well, Philippe's a good guy.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So, and he's always been, a hard-working activist from our
I stood for patience.
Side of the tracks.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
He stood for patience and access. And
Vancouver Island Compassion Club.
Yeah, been being deeply involved in the cannabis
Society.
community for, since I've been involved in the community.
Well, we did talk a little bit about the legal questions raised about marijuana testing. So, yeah, keep her down over there, Peanut Gallery. So we got a video here I want to play. This is the first one that I had on the list here, and the illegal questions raised about marijuana test. We were talking about this on the show earlier, of course, these idiotic dragnet machines, robo smokers.
Oh, none of us can drive.
Yeah, none of us can ever drive again. Ever. We'll be completely banned from driving for the rest of time.
On a medical end, and what happens when I think where patients are, and it's going to be really, really interesting. Because we know as a patient, as someone who uses cannabis on a daily basis for pain control, knows where the limits are.
It's going to be weird to see what happens.
It's not 3 milligrams.
All right, so we got here the CTV crew on this one. Legal questions raised about marijuana tests. Let's check it out. Oh, Neil's putting her down. Oh, there they are.
Scott Roberts.
There's Scott and
until
Mijung.
marijuana becomes legal, questions are being raised about a new tool to detect drivers who are high.
The federal government has given the green light for police to use a roadside device that looks for THC in saliva.
But as CTV's St. John Alexander reports, legal experts are already saying the results won't stand up in court.
Easily mistaken for a toaster or a coffee maker. No dripping, no timing. The Draeger 5000 vows to be a quick and hygienic way to screen drivers for marijuana. It's yet to make its Canadian roadside debut, but it's already being panned by critics.
Well, it's definitely going to be challenged in the courts.
That's a recipe for a constitutional disaster.
One, the device is rather fussy.
Make sure the analyzer is lying as horizontally as possible.
Anyone who's had a drink or the munchies in the past 10 minutes may skew the results. And the Draeger won't work in temperatures below 4 degrees Celsius.
Make sure the test person doesn't suck or chew the collector.
Defense lawyers argue it may detect THC, but it won't reveal whether someone's actually impaired. Unlike alcohol, where 0.08 milligrams is the magic number, scientists can't agree on how much pot makes someone too high to drive.
The government can't even tell you what level impairment occurs at.
Instead, The screener will give police the power to do more testing, like a blood sample.
As defense counsel, we're going to vigorously, make sure that people who are actually impaired are the ones who are being issued these charges rather than innocent individuals.
Now, Mad Canada welcomes the Draeger, saying the government has carefully studied lessons from countries where it's already in use.
The truth of the matter is, as of October 17th now, it will be legal in this country. We need something to protect the public.
We're falling back on something that's imperfect, and it's necessarily imperfect.
Critics figure some tests could take up to half an hour, but refusing the exam may lead to criminal charges.
And St. John Alexander joins us now. And St. John, what are police departments saying about this device?
Yeah, so it's up to each city, each municipality to decide, do they want to use it? We talked to the VPD today who say they haven't seen it yet. They just learned about it, so they haven't tested it. They'll use their drug experts for now. So at this point, it's not clear who, if anyone, is actually going to use this device. Mijang.
Thank you, St. John.
Necessarily imperfect. It's imperfect, but necessarily imperfect. That's a weird thing to say. Because I think what he meant is that it's necessary. It's imperfect, but necessary.
What they're saying is that it's not working. It's not perfect, but they figure it's necessary for the new system.
Right.
So they figure there's some kind of an impairment testing, and we can agree. We've seen people. We've been in this lounge for years. Been here for as long as I can remember, and we've seen people who are impaired past the point where they should not. They're intoxicated, and some people can't handle their cannabis, and some people.
Yeah, for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, but here's where
but not 10 hours.
Here's where I feel like I have a right to pitch in because
you have a right.
Yeah, because I know, but I mean,
Carly, you
I
have
don't
no
drive.
right.
I don't drive.
Why not?
Because cannabis impairs me in a way that I fucking suck at driving when I'm stoned, and I smoke weed all day. So I made the conscious decision
not to
not drive.
I've never
Alcohol
driven.
doesn't affect people the same way. People have one
never
extra beer and they go, fuck it, I'll get behind the wheel anyways. Cannabis doesn't do that to people. Cannabis, they are a little overcautious and a little too paranoid, and they're more nervous about getting behind the wheel. They only do it unless they're extremely confident they can.
Yeah.
So it's huge.
Johnny,
my judgment is not impaired.
You just asked
my
me.
judgment is not impaired. It's just my driving sucks. I'm so nervous that I drive like 20 kilometers an hour no matter what road I'm on.
Yeah.
That's not safe, so I just don't get behind
But see,
the wheel.
for me, Johnny just asked, I said I've never, and Johnny said you've never driven high. I've never driven not high. I've never actually, I don't think, driven not high in my entire life, probably. Because I'm always, like, for real, though. I smoke weed every day, and I've smoked weed every day since I was 15. So.
You're a great driver. You would not want to get
you and me are the same.
in a car where I'm driving and I'm smoking weed.
I've been using cannabis in some way, form, or another, pretty much daily for as long as I'm published on it. For pain control, I use cannabis daily and every day, and I have been.
Yeah.
For as long as I can remember. So now, I'm fine. I run a business. You run a business. You don't seem that high. You seem pretty okay. I see you drive down the road. You're not driving over people. You're not one eyeing.
Not usually.
Not usually.
No. I try to avoid the humans.
So I guess these laws are really going to be taken a look at. We already know that one country, Ottawa, will not be testing. They're not going to use the machine. They said it doesn't work in their climate. There's too many problems, and it's worth $6,000. And they're like, you know what? We've trained all of our officers to basically see if people are impaired or not, where they're already fully trained in that. They don't need a machine to tell us if they're impaired. And I think that was a great way and a great response.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean, and really in reality, everybody who's out there is, even like Opus said, they know that they could take that pen that extra inch to make your head turn. So if they want to make you, if they want you to fail a test, they're gonna make you fail a test.
Right.
Right. So, but I mean,
because the cops just like, oh, look at you stumbling all over the place without your cane.
Well, with me, there was no way. I mean, my knees were. I can never walk a straight line.
That was a straight up bullshit video from CTV. I gotta say.
At least if you actually have that happen in an impairment test, a roadside impairment test, you can go to court and say, I wasn't impaired. The cop made me walk in a straight line without a cane, which is physically impossible. At least you stand a chance, If they test you and they say you've got however many, micrograms of THC in your system, then it doesn't matter. That's the evidence right there. And you can say, but I didn't smoke weed other than 4 days ago, or I wasn't impaired, I was safe to drive. But if they've got the evidence, then it doesn't matter in court. At least this way they stand a chance to go, no, I wasn't impaired. This is why the testing was skewed.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens if they're going to start having like roadblocks testing for people smoking. Are they going to actually?
They might.
Are they going to set up this thing? Or we're going to.
Have you been smoking marijuana today?
And it might be
sir?
just for testing, because you know what, they want to see how these machines are going to work first, and we might have these random test sites that are going to go up. And just, there's just rumors that you're hearing and stuff like that. But I mean, like, how are they going to even be able to enforce things when you're hearing that even temperature and basically if it's raining,
they're going to be sticking their fingers in everybody's mouth.
These things can
just be happy it's not a rectal probe.
If it's pouring rain, are they thinking to pull this thing out into the rain and put it into this little machine and stuff like that? Or, I mean,
if it's -4 out, it doesn't work.
Yeah, there you go. That's why.
No wonder Ottawa said they weren't going to get one. That's like 80% of the year. It's -4 or less. It's fucking cold out there.
That's
and most of Canada, the only place that would even be an option is BC. And most of those, like in BC, we're all going to smoke weed anyway.
Yep.
So, like, have fun clogging your court systems if you try to
we
do
know
that.
those cannabis machines suck.
What's our next video?
Next video. Well, we talked about on the show earlier about how Sarah Blythe was targeted by the police here.
Yep.
She's giving cannabis to opioid addicted folks down in the East End there,
She was at the
trying to help them get off
on the weekend talking last
heroin
weekend.
and fentanyl and all that stuff. Yeah, she was at Grassroots.
I was there and I listened to her talk.
Grassroots is cool. Props to the Georgia Straight for a cool little shindig there. Piper Courtney was on last week's show.
Yep. I showed up, just like I said I would.
Straight cannabis.
I watched you drive by.
Yep.
I took a picture of your car.
But let's watch this video. Study finds pot can help hard drug users. So it's not just health workers saying this. There's all kinds of evidence backed up. Check it out.
Cannabis works.
Dun, 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 dun. Amazon Prime. Man, Jack Ryan. Oh.
We had to go through the advertising.
That boring guy from The Office.
You getting that advertising on Instagram now? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I know the ads are great. We don't watch enough ads on the show.
There was the Eiffel Tower. I was there.
There it is. Oh, things are exploding.
Oh, that looked like Greg.
Jack Ryan. Tom Clancy.
Craig.
All right, there it is. There it is.
Here we go.
But a new study shows it could actually work in the other direction.
As CTV's John Woodward explains, heroin addicts in Vancouver are finding marijuana is helping them quit.
They cut out basically most of
Full sound, full screen.
That scar is where a heroin needle broke off in Melanie Pratt's arm and got infected.
Ouch.
A surgeon saved the arm but gave her a warning.
I was given an ultimatum. I could continue using. I would continue using with one arm, and I could die. I would probably die doing it.
After 3 months in St. Paul's Hospital, she was coping with withdrawal and finding that marijuana helped.
And I started smoking marijuana, and it just kept me peaceful, kept me functional.
Pratt says she's now off opioids entirely and is offering others the same chance through High Hopes, a project by the Overdose Prevention Society. The society sells marijuana at cost at the street market, and the society will give any heroin users marijuana for free.
It's actually not psychoactive, and it just helps reduce pain.
Director Sarah Blythe says of the 100 people on the High Hopes program, 25 have quit, as many as 50 have reduced their heroin use.
It gives them just a way to have an alternative to the drugs that they're getting on the street. It's safe.
There's a good reason to avoid street heroin in Vancouver. Much of it is contaminated with fentanyl. The BC Coroner's Service says 878 people died of overdoses this year. That's one reason the cannabis substitution program could save lives, according to this researcher, who found heroin users are 55% less likely to report an overdose if they also use marijuana.
This seems to indicate that cannabis might be almost a sort of an ad hoc harm reduction strategy by people who are trying to control or change their use of other drugs.
He's planning a clinical trial which will be made much easier when marijuana becomes legal in October.
But I see more of a replacement, like just a safer option, a better option.
As for Pratt, she's already convinced. John Woodward, CTV News, Vancouver.
Yeah, CTV. See, that's the kind of article, the expose we like.
Well, you know what?
One that actually is truthful and says the facts.
It was good to see. I actually met Sarah and the doctor there in question that thing at the grassroots conference and listened with them. And Philip Lucas was talking all about opioid addiction and cannabinoids and how cannabis is good for reduction and helping people quit. So actually, here they're saying one thing, and yet we already had the event was already set up to even talk about this, which has been going on for years and stuff like that. And like myself, I weaned myself off of pharmaceutical drugs, OxyContin and Superdol and all the hardcore pharmaceutical drugs for pain control back in 2007. I used converted forms of THC and amino acids, and I was published on that in a PubMed case journal, standardized natural cannabis and pain control, and had everything to do with getting off opioid drugs. And from then it led on to more studies, and it works.
It helps you get off that stuff.
Right, and then it helps you deal with your pain, because at the same time, the opiates we need in acute stages of pain when severe trauma happens, but at the same time, you can't lead a quality of life on severe opioid drugs for the rest of your life. So, understand that pharmaceutical drugs the true needs and better lifelong care dealing with pain or injury.
Give them some friggin' brownies.
Eat some brownies. And that was my first one, was a brownie from the BCCS and those clubs that are here. And that was the reason why I stand up so much for these clubs, is because that's where I got that brownie.
Yep.
If it wasn't for that club, I would never got that brownie. I would never found out how much cannabis worked for my pain. It would never change my life. You know what I mean? And this happens over and over. So as they take the system away from patients, where are they going to go?
Exactly.
People got to stand up for these clubs or patients' rights. So
yeah, if everybody disappears and starts selling LP weed, the 21 who are supplying the BC government, shit's going to be really nasty. Like, you can't, that's not medicine.
Well, they can't get extraction, stuff like that. There's all these things, right? So, I mean, how are they going to be able to properly do things?
Exactly.
It's not like everybody's got labs in there and stuff like that.
Yeah, and these LPs just won't be able to supply enough of these dispensaries. I guess that's why they'll limit. There's only
that's
one.
why there's so many,
There's only one.
all these craft ones are growing. You know what? It's going to get flooded. There's going to be so many people growing this plant. It's going to change everything. Like, from the homegrowns to all these new LPs, to all the big companies, to
Isn't it just going to be all black market,
and the Coca-Colas?
If they don't make it easy enough for the growers to get licensed, then it's just going to all be black market.
Where are you going to get your extractions? They don't exist. So the black market will exist for, Health Canada, they're reviewing the program in another 5 years. So we'll see what happens in 5 years, even with medical.
Good
and that,
Lord.
to me, is going to buy the clubs another 5 years. So
yeah, well, there you go. No, they're going to see real quick that it's a stupid system, and they're going to change it. Okay, so this is funny. City of Edmonton considers new rules for tobacco marijuana smoking after gathering public feedback. Now, I think this video is about these idiotic zones. No, that was in Calgary. This is Edmonton.
There's new rules.
So I don't know what this video is, but let's watch it. And then
hey, I missed this one. This is going to be good. We just talked about this. Where are we going to smoke?
Well,
actually,
I thought I was getting a video about the.
This is what's going on.
The Calgary zones.
Okay, I'm going to stop ranting. Smoke more weed.
There was these. Did you guys hear about that one? Calgary, the zones they wanted for.
I want to be home for 7:10.
Smoking tobacco. And wasn't that Calgary? Maybe I'm confusing the two. I don't know. Maybe with this video we'll shed some light on the subject. But I thought it was Calgary who was talking about the zones where you'd be the only place you'd be able to smoke cannabis in, and that got a lot of bad negative feedback. And they quickly changed it, and they said the only way to do it is to have lounges. Places where you can smoke.
That's what we want.
Yeah, we need places all across, scattered, not just a couple big zones.
No, we need these
That's
things
ridiculous.
all across the country.
Yeah.
Things like this
We need to remember.
would be a lot less common in Edmonton if city officials get their way. A report going to the city's Community and Public Service Committee is recommending council go ahead with its original plans to update its public places bylaw. That would see marijuana smoking and vaping align with tobacco when it comes to where smokers can light up, and would further restrict smoking in public places. In July, the bylaw passed 3 readings in City Council, but then was rescinded to get more public input.
I'm glad that we took a bit of extra time to check in with our public to make sure that the rules that we adopt are going to be enforceable and just to ensure that we're putting something practical in place.
The city surveyed nearly 8,000 people, finding 68% supported increasing the smoking distance from entrances of buildings from 5 meters to 10 meters. 75% were in favor of banning tobacco use in all city attractions. A survey of the business community saw more mixed results. 42% of respondents linked to bars, restaurants, and clubs supported increasing the smoking distance. 37% opposed.
If the changes go through, any public ashtray like this that's less than 10 meters from a door, window, or bus stop would have to move. It would make much of White Avenue a non-smoking zone. That has many of the smokers and non-smokers I talked to concerned.
They don't even seem to enforce the 5-meter one. The 10-meter one is forcing people down back alleys because where is 10 meters away from any of the doors here?
Come out of any pub or restaurant and there's people smoking immediately outside the door. And if you're not going to enforce it, then I think you need to be serious about enforcing the existing laws before you start trying to change them.
You're not going to pay somebody to move all these things away and then you have to pay somebody to clean up the garbage because people are smoking cigarettes outside. I'd just leave it the way it is. And I mean, really, if you don't want to be around the smoke, then don't be around the smoke.
The city says it's developing a public education campaign that would educate residents on the new rules. City Council is set to vote again on the issue on Wednesday. Albert De La Talla, Global News.
Oh yeah, video's done. Oh shit.
Recreational marijuana less than a month away.
There we go. Yeah, so wow, that's a crazy video actually. What a bunch of morons. Moving the, they're gonna move the ashtrays. They want to change the.
I know. Whenever I see an ashtray,
from 5 meter to 10 meter
and
away
it
from the
says
buildings,
smoking section.
can't
Like when
smoke
I was
out
at the
on road
P&E,
like
that's
that.
where I went and smoked my weed. It's a smoking section. I walked in the P&E and they had this little smoking section. I don't smoke cigarettes.
It doesn't make sense to the laws that have.
Why they got to move it 10
opposite
more meters?
effect.
From where?
It just has the opposite
So
effect.
wait a second here. So if they move it 10 meters, are what they saying that you can also smoke cigarettes and cannabis?
Well, yeah, they don't want the cannabis near the buildings either. It's both.
But they're
laws.
saying that you can smoke weed.
Yeah.
10 meters from, well, that's
5
better.
meters. It's currently 5 meters. They want to change it to 10. But that would put
But they're
people,
allowing
that would
also
put people out on the road. And so there's nowhere to
recreational
smoke.
use is outside.
And as they
Ah.
said in the video, they should enforce the rule they already have rather than kick people out into the road or around the side of the building or whatever. Forcing
good that
them
they're
into
gonna let people
alleys,
smoke
like
weed.
hovering in alleys smoking. It's like, talk about
do we do?
second-class citizens. Yeah, nobody goes in the alleys anymore. It's where all the smokers are.
Well, I hope traffic's good tonight.
It's going to be fun in the alleys, though.
It's going to be fun. Well, that's where we used to go before. It's always back alley parties.
Back alley parties, baby.
Back alley parties.
So if you can't smoke out 10 meters out on front of the building, out in the road, the only place you can go is into if you're a renter like me, into my apartment where it's totally legal to smoke, right? No, unfortunately not. And it's not getting any better. All these different strata councils and all these different department heads are putting
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with
non-vaping and non-smoking rules in right now at all the apartments across the country. And there's a disconnect between tenants and the landlords over pot, according to CTV News.
We already know that.
Let's check it out.
We've already fought those in the past with low-income housing and people living
Yep.
in BC housing and stuff like that.
People
where a
getting
lot of
kicked out and then dying because they don't have anywhere
because
to
they
use
had
their
nowhere to
medicine,
even use their medicine.
which is real
We've
and that
had
actually
that.
happened.
And we still have that today with a lot of people in low-income housing and stuff like that. People are suffering who need cannabis every day are unable to medicate in their own home. And now with these new legalization laws, like you say, stratas and condos with no smoking zones are being passed.
They're really
In
fucking
park
medical
cities.
patients.
Where can you smoke in Vancouver? I think they got no smoke zones going on almost anywhere. So if you're really with legalization, is it going to be like people walking down the street blazing fatties everywhere? I don't think so.
They're fucking medical patients over
Be
big
interesting.
time.
Well-
And just recreational users who want to be able to smoke
Stand
on their
up for your
balcony,
rights,
like
smoke more weed.
Should be able to smoke on your balcony.
And
Are we
speak
frozen?
for it. Are we spoke? We're done.
Frozen?
I even got the hand up to the.
Are we
half-piece
froze?
sign.
If you do a control delete, I bet it'll fix it.
Well, I guess that's it.
And go task manager.
Are we task manager out?
Oh, it fixed it.
I'm out. Are we fixed? Are we there?
I think we're still
Well,
here.
you know what? You
There
know the
we
best
are.
thing about,
Yeah, we're
about
back.
it is we're getting access. We're getting.
We froze
we're
for
not
a
gonna
second
get,
there or something.
Well, shit. The fines are kind of worse, aren't they? So I don't know.
All right, here's the video. Check it out.
There is still a lot of confusion about where tenants can smoke.
A new survey finds many renters believe they should be allowed to smoke pot in their rental units, but many landlords are against the idea. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Michelle and Ken, some landlords are concerned about the smell of marijuana in their units and the possibility of damage from people growing pot indoors. There is also confusion over insurance and who pays if there is mold, a fire, or a flood. As Canadians get ready for the legalization of marijuana, some of the rules around pot remain hazy. Laws regarding the right to smoke marijuana in a rental unit differ across the country. In Ontario, it depends on the building's rules and your lease agreement.
There's a bit of a disconnect between what Canadians think they should be able to do and what the landlords want their tenants to do.
RateHub conducted a marijuana survey and found that 28% of renters believe they should have the right to smoke and grow cannabis in their rental units. But 62% of landlords feel renters should not be allowed to smoke cannabis in rental units, and 58% of landlords feel renters should not be allowed to grow cannabis in them either. The survey also found many Canadians are unsure how their home and tenant insurance will be affected if they smoke and grow pot.
More than half, we're talking 59%, said they didn't even know if their insurance would cover it if there was damage as a result of growing.
The Insurance Bureau of Canada says the industry is preparing for when pot is legal and will have policies to address marijuana use and cultivation. Under the law, the maximum number of plants allowed is 4. If you do plan to grow marijuana, RateHub says you may want to tell your insurance company.
If you were to start growing marijuana in your home and you didn't disclose it to your insurance company, that could turn into a problem down the road.
The Ontario Landlords Association has concerns smoking marijuana indoors could bother other tenants and that growing pot indoors could cause mold, excessive power usage, and the risk of a flood. The group wants to have a no-weed clause so tenants can't smoke or grow pot in their units. And 13% of renters say they plan to grow pot once it becomes legal. 1/3 of Canadians are worried it could lead to more claims and cause insurance premiums to go up. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Landlords.
Landlords?
What a bunch of dicks.
What's this?
They don't want pot. They don't like pot. They don't want this. They don't want that. You can't do this.
Well,
you
you know
can't do
what?
that. No pets. No weed. No fun. No smoking. No nothing. No loud music.
Yeah, no loud music. That's a killer one.
I know. Loud music's good. I love loud music.
Yeah.
My
You
neighbors
need to
don't.
have headphones and stuff. You can always smoke in your bathroom. I've been doing that. I can fuck. Can't smoke yet, right?
I'm gonna smoke in my apartment no matter what my landlord says. Fuck them.
Damn it. Well, I told myself there's a lot of smoke in my
I will
house.
never stop smoking in my.
You know what? I really would like to see how they're gonna stop that over time if they're legalizing and everybody's smoking. It was like we're gonna get all these complaints. Oh yeah. It's like they're not gonna be able to enforce it, right? So we'll just see how things go. You can have your good, bad, and the ugly part of it. So hey, you know what? We're getting legalization. It's only a couple weeks away, 3 weeks away. Countdowns now, and you're gonna be able to buy your weed online, and Canada Post is going on strike. So, you know what? It'll probably be through Purelator anyway, so that makes no sense to me because everything through Health Canada was always shipped to Purelator.
If you're the mailman and you deliver weed, aren't you working for a company that sells weed?
Just think of the lineups of people trying to
you
pick
can
up
be
their Canada
banned at
because
the
it's gonna have
border.
to sign for it, right? Because it's like if you're not at home, you have to go pick it up.
If they
so
ask a
lineups at the
mailman-
post office boxes are gonna be insane. We're gonna have these safes at the post office box.
If they ask a mailman at the border if he has trafficked cannabis, he has to say yes. Well, yeah, he does. It's guaranteed. We know for sure. Yeah. So problems at the border. Check it out
Problems
here.
at the border. What's going on here?
Border. The U.S. is crazy.
I'm done with them.
Look at this. Look at this crap. Check this one out.
Yeah, I'm just done.
We're all being banned.
Telling you how to
Wow.
grow. Look at that.
That was just like an info video.
I was just showing Jared how I grow four plants.
Johnny's growing 4 plants. Show him on this cam.
Here we go. Well, thank you for calling. I wonder who that is.
Show him the number, John.
Okay. Here we go. So, you can definitely check it out on my YouTube channel. But I figured, why not? I grew 4 plants, vegging for about 7 weeks in 7-gallon pots, and we staked them up, and they're about
That's your 4
6.5 feet tall. Yeah, and I got on it 2 315s, 1 Gavita, 2 Gavitas, a plasma.
Can we slide back and forth here? Show us some other pictures of it. Show us some more, Johnny.
Jeez.
You showed me a good one at first, and you're like, that's 4 plants.
There you go.
Uh-oh. There was more.
So you can see that each one's in 7-gallon pots.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Pictures of the buds.
Yeah. I thought there was another
But
one.
pretty much what I'm just getting involved with is just showing, I mean, with 4 plants, in reality, you can grow quite a bit of medicine. You can have 4 different strains. Right now I'm growing one that's more of a gangly. It's not like a really short, dank Kush strain and stuff like that. So there's going to be so many different people being able to grow their own. Story about a few different provinces. I'm sure we're going to work on that, and that should change. I hope for everybody. I mean, there's the other fights we have to fight for, but I mean, 4 plants, really, guys. I mean, I can grow myself 4 or 5 pounds if I really want to.
Yeah, if you
It's
don't.
not hard.
If you own your own. If you own your own home.
That's right, too.
And you don't rent. But how many people is that?
Okay, then we gotta get grow tents for everybody. Everybody can grow like a couple plants.
In the city of Vancouver, who the fuck owns
I
their
know.
own
So
home?
here's the whole thing. It's hard. I'm trying here. But in the meantime, I don't know. Fight for your right to grow cannabis. We did for the coalition. We won that, right? And that's the reason why we were able to grow today, which is nice. Right? So, I mean, not too much other to say than puff and pass. Share the knowledge. Talk about the support.
Ow.
I guess you could say we're legalizing, so it's just around the corner. We've been saying it for a long time, and it's happening. Our lifetime. We're seeing legal cannabis in Canada. Hopefully we can see it for the whole entire world. Wouldn't that be awesome? Soon to come, the
Not
rest
if
of
it
the
looked like-
world. You
not
can
if it
take
looks
your
like
weed with
this.
you anywhere. Wherever we're going. Just land, smoke weed. Be nice. How about right now for that gentleman who's going to be hung for giving away medicine? He's actually giving away just CBD and he's being hung. We should be fighting for that guy. He's what city is he? He's in Taiwan or something. You read about that?
In Taiwan? We need to bring that up. I don't know.
He's being hung for cannabis.
I've never seen that news item.
Really?
No. Hung. In the meantime, we got the next
the
video,
meantime,
which
I gotta go.
is the farther away from Ontario schools, the less spaces for stores. This is marijuana proximity rules. Ontario cannabis stores. Check it out.
Are you going to keep talking? You want to keep going?
Locations. One of them, the Toronto one on Gerrard Street, was about a 6-minute walk or 300 meters away from a school. Something the new Premier Doug Ford said was too close for comfort.
My priority is to make sure that we protect our children. We don't make the mistakes of the previous Liberal government putting a pot store right beside a school, which is absolutely ridiculous, and it won't happen under our administration.
So if 300 meters is too close, what about 500? Currently, there are more than 1,000 schools in Toronto. That includes public, private, and separate. So for argument's sake, we've laid that out for you here on a map with a 500-meter radius around each one. So looking at this, you'd think, okay, there might be plenty of places to buy bud, but then you'd be forgetting retail zoning. Let's take a look at that map. So what you're seeing now in purple are the areas of the city that are slated for retail. And when you overlap the two, here's what you get. So schools coupled with current zoning restrictions, well, that doesn't leave very many places for pot retailers to open up shop. One of those hoping to open up a shop is Jody Emery, the princess of pot. She wanted to potentially open a legal store in popular Kensington Market.
I hope for legalization to give us something like Amsterdam, where adults can access and use cannabis in a safe space.
Now, unfortunately, based on that 500-meter rule that we've implemented, that area would be a no-go because it's too close to schools.
It doesn't make sense to have these distancing regulations when children are passing by in cars and buses all the time anyway. So this is based on fear, and it's irrational and unnecessary. Cannabis businesses are responsible retailers, and they won't be selling to kids. If children walk by, it causes no harm. It's no different than having children walk through an alcohol store with their parents.
We still don't know if marijuana will be allowed to be sold near beer stores or liquor stores, and if not, that leaves even less options for storefronts. So far, the government says it's still in consultation process when it comes to location laws, but there isn't much time to suss all this out. Ontario's first physical stores are set to open in April of 2019.
Yep. She was floating in space. All the newscasters now are floating around in space. Or like parting the seas like Moses, that one. That was funny. Okay, let's watch the Prime Minister now in our final video for the day.
Final video?
Good old JT. He's bringing sexy back. Here he's talking about why personal cultivation should be allowed.
It should be. What I'm just talking about. Everybody should be able to grow.
Sometimes JT says the right thing.
Yeah, he's got something going on here. I think grow your own. It's a great feeling. Say, got me out of bed.
If you have your own home.
Well, I think everybody should be able to grow their own. Screw the own home, just like grow it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If you don't have a home to grow in, you should have a place
sad.
in the park. You should have a little area, and you should have your name on it. Say that's my plant. If everybody had one, everybody leave it alone.
Yeah, that would be cool, but unfortunately, most of us don't own our own homes.
You could dream about being able to grow, like in the park with your name on it.
There was a debate over whether provinces would have the rights to ban homegrown cannabis, and that deadline for legalization is looming. Has that been worked out? Have you accepted that provinces like Manitoba have the right to ban homegrown cannabis?
I think we need to remember why we are moving forward to control and regulate the sale of marijuana. The current system is a failure. The prohibition we have now against marijuana has led to the highest rate of teen usage of marijuana in Canada of anywhere around the world. And organized crime and street gangs and gun runners make something like $6 billion a year through the sale of marijuana. The current system doesn't work to protect our kids, to protect our communities, or to give our law enforcement officials the tools they need to keep us safe on the roads and in our streets. That's why we have worked over the past 3 years with provincial governments across this country to move forward on a regime that controls and regulates the sale of marijuana. Part of that involves also making sure that we're giving to police services the tools and the capacities and the funding and the training to be able to do a better job of going after a problem that isn't suddenly going to start next month, but is already current in our society and that we're not addressing very well. There are a range of perspectives on how best to do that, and we've been working with the provinces on that approach, but we do feel, and the science backs it up, that allowing a small amount of personal cultivation in one's home is a strong counter to the black market and needs to be a part of the legalization framework. That's something that I believe is going to be discussed in the courts, but we remain firm that personal cultivation should be allowed across the country.
And as a follow-up, Prime Minister, are you concerned? The provinces certainly have rights over some distribution rules for products like cannabis. Are you concerned that the rules differ from province to province and the Canadians may be confused, at least at the beginning?
Oh, I think, first of all, this is something new that we're doing in Canada because we recognize that the current policy is a failure. It doesn't work. So we are moving forward on something that will not be complete and done and over on October 17th. Indeed, it'll just be beginning. This is very much a process, not just an event. And we will be working with provinces, with municipalities closely across the country to ensure that the goals of protecting public safety and public health are met. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to do, and we will continue to work with the provinces as the various measures roll out. But similarly to alcohol, there are different regimes across the country. And that is something that has worked reasonably well in Canada over the past decades.
Thing, right? So
hemp is exploding.
Well, you know what? We're just talking about the exploding stocks and what's going on in the industry, and watching these big corporations and seeing these companies just explode, and everybody's just running for gold. You know, everybody's mining it.
I wish they were good companies.
Yeah, we're just talking about invest in gold stuff. Big ones now, lithium mines. All the batteries are mining for lithium kind of battery thing. Bless you.
Every time I sneeze, it kills my back.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Thank you.
I don't want to do that.
No, it's I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, you know what? I love you guys.
You too, Johnny. We love you very much.
I just saw this dab sitting here aimlessly by itself, and I was like, maybe I should.
Do it.
Maybe it felt so lonesome.
Lonesome.
Take it before I leave.
You should. Yeah. Yes. Classic stoner western. Lonesome Dab. He was out on the range, all alone with his dabs, and they got stolen by a bear. Dabby the bear.
What's your dab?
Where?
Why are you doing one?
I can do one. Or maybe we should, I don't know. Did he give us these to try? Is that what we were supposed to?
You know what?
There was probably only one reason he left.
No, it's.
Or maybe he just forgot them.
He forgot them. Right. Come get your dabs. Sorry, we're doing a couple of them.
Yeah.
Jared's trying some diamonds with some sauce. It's really tasty.
Saucy.
Get that at somebody. So you won't be able to get this in 2.5 weeks. If they shut down these clubs.
Yeah, because look at
this is and will not be able to be accessed. And you know what? We talk about terpenes and we talk about THC and everything, and Brian could talk all about that. Brian, you won't be. This is just going to be unheard of. You won't see this. This is just new on the market too.
Quality stuff.
Well, it's great. It works. I love it. It's tasty.
It's really nice. We could do a close up of how it burns too.
On a titanium nail? Why?
Thank you.
You're right.
So Carly is actually a connoisseur. She actually likes glass, and no, I'm gonna throw this in between where just different people. As Jared, I love you, buddy, but you're just like, yeah, who cares? You're like, yeah, no, you need this proper carb. This is the glass you needed. This is the temp.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Like, yeah.
I mean, I'll make exceptions.
You guys and your
I'm
snobbery.
I'm in between the super cannabis connoisseur and Jeremiah, if that's the spectrum.
I'll smoke anything. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Whatever.
But
he's also Jeremiah's a medical patient, so it's totally different.
I am now.
Well, and this is the past couple of weeks he has been, but it's totally different.
Try some more CBD. Get some more higher dank strains. Get you some comatose or some suppositories. All that fun stuff.
But if you're gonna do a melt shot, it should be something worth showing off. And just melt shots on titanium, it's not pretty. It's not as pretty.
Okay.
We need to get a banger for that email.
There it is.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Every time I cough, it hurts.
You can figure that out. My D-nail has been. I was gonna say I retired the D-nail. I retired the sublimator. I've retired all those devices. I like the good old banger on the torch. It just works.
Nah, I like my nail.
Nah, that's great.
It works really well.
I know. See, whatever works for you, man. That's the best part about
super
you
easy.
Consuming your own cannabis. Consume it your way every day.
Cookie has solar
you guys
power.
Enjoying it?
Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
Am I enjoying smoking pot?
Yeah.
Of course.
There you go.
Always. The coughing hurts, but ow, just because of my lower back problem. Eat more. That's true. You don't cough when you eat.
No cough when you eat.
Maybe some people.
I don't like coughing.
Well, that was fun. Good show. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
And Mr. Cookie, who's been here
Brian.
in the peanut gallery the whole time. You should come over here, Mr. Cookie.
Brian.
You should come say hello. He was relegated
He's
to the
done.
couch
He's like,
today.
you know what? I'm not moving.
He's like, don't
I'm full
wanna.
of weed, everything. Here he is.
He arrived late,
There's
but
Brian.
and Johnny had already stolen the spot. He really could have squished in. We could have done it with all three of us. We could have done it with.
Yeah, we need 3 seats. Yeah, we're 3 seating it, and everybody else has 3 seats. How come we don't have 3 seats?
Look at Mr. Cookie. He didn't want to come over, but we're putting a camera on him anyway.
3 seating it, 4
He's
seating
like,
it.
yeah, look at him.
We're gonna do a panel. Why don't we have panel week?
He's in
and we can
straight
have a panel.
chill
We should have a
mode.
round table. We should all sit around a table and
Neil.
talk.
Wait, look again.
Carly likes it. She's smiling. We're gonna do the round table next week. Hey, change the table. We'll change the direction of it. We'll do a round table.
He doesn't want to put it on himself.
On that note,
That looks foolish on camera.
Foolish? No.
Here you
Anil. Oh.
Yeah, let's play with that.
Okay.
That's the new
All
can
right.
clamp. the new box. And
pretty cool.
Battle of the Century. So we're
Very
we're
cool.
on,
But more importantly-
after the resin.
Woo. Are you camera shy? Good
Camera shy.
lord. With that handsome
Oh,
mug?
well, if they want something, they should go read Cannabis Culture, the Kush Kentucky Derby.
That's right.
Kush Kentucky Derby.
The Kush Kentucky
Okay,
Derby is
Johnny.
Decadent and Depraved by Mr. Anil, and that you can find that on the front page of Cannabis Culture, on the internets, somewhere out there, cannabisculture.com, I would imagine. And yes, that's pretty cool. That was your adventures in where?
It was 2 weeks of the trial.
2 weeks of the trial.
And then
Test
also
case.
a weird cannabis product launch of an American company pinching one of the few LPs.
Microphone?
No,
Mis-
about Tippy.
Mr. Cookie.
Brian's going after Tippy.
Mr.
I
Cookie.
say, Brian, have you seen Tippy today?
Spark it up.
I'm gonna come visit with Tippy.
Woo woo.
We're going to go bug Tippy.
We're gonna go see Tippy.
Tippy's outside the window?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, he is out there. Here, maybe we can. On this camera. Yeah, you duck here. Oh, yeah, you can see him.
Tippy's been around for a long time. He's
right
like
there.
he's part of the platform. Brian sat in the back of the room right here. Actually, it used to be the Vancouver Seed Bank. This actually used to be the Marijuana Museum by Mama Levine. But Tippy lived in this area, and Tippy lived here. This was Tippy's area.
He still does. He lives here every day.
I know, but you know what? They used to have the desk
There's Mr.
sitting there
Cookie with Tippy
right
now.
there, and we used to get
Look at-
smack. Brian's on Tippy. They're just reuniting right now. It's like it's like.
Watch out for a sec, Carly.
Oh, can't see anything. There's no person in the way watching Brian hold the cat. She doesn't know. Anyways, guys, it's 6:20. I love you guys.
Thanks for watching Pod TV.
Peace,
Tune
guys.
into the
We love
420
you.
Lifestyle Show on Monday.
Make sure you get to the
Monday
420
with Carly
Lifestyle Show.
Marley and BC
It's probably the most
Buggal.
watched show.
And most loved.
We love you guys too.
What are you going to turn into
We
a
love
bong
you
this week?
guys.
I don't know.
A
I don't know. We have some
a pump.
drops coming up.
Hey, now
We
you can
just
see
passed
Mr.
them, so
Cookie.
we're probably going to talk about that. But
Look at Duck Carly.
Tippy.
Mr. Cookie's petting his cat.
we are, though, going to be doing a cooking
Carly,
show soon.
You can sit up now.
A cooking show, yeah. We do want to do another cooking show
That's
really
funny.
badly. People have been asking us a lot. So there's going to be
Cooking.
one coming up. And
Cool.
we are going to invite BC Bud Mom to be on it with us.
Is Brian there too? He knows how to
Oh,
cook.
yeah, we should.
Mr. Cook.
I know how to decarb oxalate. I
Can't say
can show
We'll
you
have to
my
make him an
tricks.
apron, too.
Without Cook.
I'll show you some of my tricks. I've been kind of doing this for a while too.
Johnny can do a backflip.
I do the activation.
Right into the oven.
parts.
Can you do a backflip?
I used to be able
Can
to.
I?
I was about 16
Sure.
years old. I had a trampoline. I used to backflip onto my YZ80 and then just walks up the road. See, you know, I used
I
to
could do a
I used to
backflip
do
off a
that
pickup
stuff
truck.
Long time ago. Okay, I gotta go.
All right. See you later, Pod TV.
Bye, Carly Marley. And bye to everybody who came on the show and all the people watching. I mean, thank you to all the people who came on the show. And bye to the people watching. That makes more sense. It was fun. Yeah, tune into everything all week long, Pod TV. Come to the party. High Score this weekend, 649 East Hastings.
Tomorrow.
Saturday night.
Saturday tomorrow.
Play some retro video games.
Or you could be watching
and
this today,
smoke
which is
some
Saturday. Then that means you
herbs.
should be go down tonight.
Johnny's coming. You
I'm
can get an
coming.
autograph.
No autographs.
No autograph.
I'll just be playing pinball.
You'd sign if somebody asked you for one.
Of course I would.
Yeah. So there you go. So come down and get your autograph from Johnny. And Carly Marley will be there too. You can get your autograph from... She'll give you Johnny's autograph too. Yeah.
Jared's giving out autographs all the time.
Constantly. Yeah, and Anil will definitely be giving out autographs.
I'll give out Johnny's autograph.
He'll sign whatever body part you want.
No.
Yeah.
See, no, they don't want to make autographs.
They want autographs. No. Holding back the clear disappointment. Yeah, it's... If you're in Vancouver, come down. It'll be fun. Or just come down to High Score any day between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. and play some gamage. All right, Pod TV, we'll be back next Friday from the Prairie Cup in the wonderful Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Enjoyed being in the area, but
Johnny won't be there this year.
I won't be making it this year. Just things.
Johnny.
But I wish you guys all the best. Enjoy it, because like you said, it is one of the most.
It's the friendliest cup.
Smalliest. Yeah, it's small. It's small. It's just such, like you said.
Like
it's I really enjoyed the cup. It's too bad I can't make it this year.
Yeah, it's really good. You're right.
But maybe see you next year.
It is a good time for all who participate, and we will be broadcasting the whole damn thing on Pod TV. So check it out, y'all. That starts next Thursday. The coverage starts, I think. If Craig is indeed going and hosting the whole event, he'll be doing his show from the Prairie Cup on the Thursday, so you guys can tune into that. If that doesn't happen, then my show starting on Friday, 4 p.m. The whole thing kicks off. We do this very show on the stage at the Prairie Cup every year, and that's how it starts.
There with you with Matt. I remember that was a good show.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Cookie, where'd Mr. Cookie go?
He left. We all left.
Mr. Cookie. Bye, Mr. Cookie.
Bye, Pod TV.
All right. We love you, Pod TV. We'll see you next Friday.
Jared wants to hang out. He's going to do the Jared show right now.
I could do another dab before we go.
See, there you go.
I could, actually.
There you go. Let's do good
We'll do one more of the delicious things. Oh, Carly would do one. Oh, Carly, now she wants to come back. Oh, you already left. Sorry.
I didn't get hot yet.
Sorry.
You didn't give me hot.
You already tried to end the show. No, you come sit down and be fun. Oh, damn. This stuff smells nice, though. Bye, Johnny. We'll do one more dab before we leave. Look at that.
I haven't done any dabs yet.
Would you like this?
Sure.
There you go. Looking very beautiful, I must say.
Thank you.
There you are. I love your hair like that. She doesn't always wear it like that. Sometimes it's straight, but I like the hair is dope. The natural, old school. People are like, where'd you get the perm?
It's true. I get asked that a lot.
Yeah. Extra 10 minutes of craziness, says Two Joints. Yeah. Extra 10. We could pull this. We could stretch it out to 10 minutes. And Neil's got to have a dab, too. What's wrong with this thing?
This is not the right bong. Yeah.
Oh, shit. You fucking snobs. Sorry, just kidding.
You offered me a tasty dab, so that's what
you don't
I
think
was
that's tasty? What's wrong with it? We cleaned the water out of the bong. Jeez. You guys are high maintenance.
Was this going to be used for
High
flour?
maintenance.
And then you just put it
No.
Oh. Well, I don't know.
Not today.
Well, that's why it tastes so fucking weird.
Oh, it doesn't taste weird. We cleaned it.
Cleaned
Neil
it or
cleaned
rinsed
himself.
it? Cleaned it or rinsed it?
And Neil used the special formula to clean it.
You need to ice that bad boy.
This looks delicious. Yum.
It's you got Dabby out today.
Dabby?
Yeah.
What's that?
Dabby Duck.
Oh, Dabby Duck, yeah.
Made an appearance.
Dabby Duck. I was calling her Daisy at some point.
Well, whatever. It's your duck. You can call her whatever the heck you want.
Dabby Duck. I thought that was the name. Dabby.
That's what you called her.
Yeah, I like Dabby.
Dabby Duck.
Okay, here we go.
The goose. Dabby Duck, the goose-shaped dab rig.
I guess it's a goose.
It is a goose.
Looks like a duck.
It's the Mother Goose Bong by Iceberg. This one's not an addition.
Show's not over yet. We decided to go 10 more minutes of craziness.
Not 10. We were doing just a dab, I thought.
Now Mr. Cookie has to come dab.
No, I don't have. I'm driving.
He's driving.
Doesn't dab and drive.
Mr. Cookie.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I had a question for you, but now I forget what it was. Oh, are you going to the Prairie Cup? Yes.
I think so. I don't know. I was
You
really
should go.
planning on it, but.
You should come because you can be my co-host on.
Oh yeah, and it's the friendliest cup.
Friendliest Cup.
Mike Rita. Who else?
Craig X.
Craig X.
Matt Murnoff.
Matt Murnoff. Matt. That's all I got to say about that.
You should come co-host the show next Friday.
Okay.
With me
Is that
at the
next
Prairie
Friday?
Cup. I believe it is.
Yep.
Isn't it?
Yep.
I think so.
20th
Next
to
Friday.
30th.
You should definitely come. That'd be fun. And then you could meet who's in the chat that we're gonna meet that I saw.
Suck the duck face.
No. Can you scroll up a little, Neil? There.
The duck face.
No ducks were hurt in this broadcast. Jared needs a tattoo on his lower neck. That'd be cool.
I feel like you need at least one other tattoo
Part of
for
my
that to make sense.
put my
Not
gang-
one
my
just
gang
there.
symbol, logo.
Jared doesn't have any tattoos.
I have no tattoos
You
now.
have no tattoos.
Who we looking
I never wanted to like.
Joins?
Oh, I thought somebody said they were gonna meet us there.
Buds!
It wasn't that far back though. It was only.
Budsy!
Buds is here.
You came like a good boy. Come say hi to Budsy.
Buds.
Say hi to Budsy.
Oh, hi, Buds.
It's pulling me out of my top.
Oh,
Buds.
you're
No,
cute.
it's okay.
Don't touch the email.
No.
Don't touch the email.
No. Stay for some loving.
Budsy. He's like, I don't like being on cam.
He's like, this is being filmed?
Come
Yeah.
hang out at 307 West Hastings.
This
We've
is
got
Buds.
4 cute cats.
Buds, yeah, runs this place. He's the best kitty. He's a giant orange cat. And he oh yeah, here he goes. He really wanted to check the table out.
Oh, he was seeing if he could get into the jalapeno popcorn.
The jalapeno popcorn.
Budsy!
He went straight for the popcorn. There he is.
He is a giant orange cat, as you can see.
Yes. Definitely a big orange cat. Definitely big. He's like, you want to check me out? I'm Buds.
We should get Dana to write a stoner version of Clifford the Big Red Dog,
See you
but
later,
it
Buds.
should be Buds the Big Orange Cat.
See, that was 10 minutes of craziness.
Oh, shit. Was that really 10 minutes? That might be fast.
Well, it was I don't know.
It felt like 3.
6.5.
Okay, well, whatever. Good enough.
Well, I'm done dabbing. Do you want another one? Go for it. Do it.
I'll do one
Do
maybe
it.
on a rig that doesn't have
Oh,
flowers.
well, that's going to take too long.
Yeah.
No. Well,
can
you guys
see
are
me
on
do
luck.
a dab on Monday.
There you go. Yeah, check out Carly's show on
Lots of
Monday.
dabs.
They're all
Okay.
like, boo. Do another one. Ganja.
Are they?
Ganja Garfield.
Okay, whatever.
Do it. Peer
have
pressure.
it. Ooh.
You don't have to, obviously.
Is this yours?
But you'll just be a big loser if you don't. Just kidding.
This is how you
Teasing,
peer
of
pressure.
course. I know, that's what I was saying.
They just get extreme.
10 minutes of craziness. I was obviously kidding. I was saying peer pressure, yo. You know, that's what I was showing you what you should never do in our after school special. Yeah. Hey, everybody's doing it, man. You're not cool unless you do it. That's what everybody does with everything, though. It's like in real life.
That's why everything's cool.
It's actually kind of mean. Nice work. Bam. See?
It's so clogged.
Clogged. It's just full of knots. It's just the design of that thing. It takes forever for the air to get there. It's bouncing off all these things.
Okay, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow at the party.
See you later, golfer. Golfer cookie. See you at the party, Richter. Happy birthday, Jeremiah. Yeah. Happy birthday to me. Several months ago. On July 1st. That was a while ago now. How's
It's
that?
Celeste's birthday on Monday.
Oh, it's
Is
Celeste's
that
birthday.
Who you might be thinking of.
I thought it was too.
It was Monday's. It was on Monday, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're thinking of a birthday, that's the Pod TV birthday this week. The only
Yeah.
one. 1 a week.
1 a week for somebody.
That would be so efficient. We could just leave it decorated
When's your birthday?
for like a month.
December. It's coming up soon. And Neil's birthday's in December. It's going to be 65 years old. Yeah. He does yoga every day. Cannabis yoga. No? Kung Fu yoga.
Thanks.
This is good stuff.
Okay.
Out of the bottle. All right, we're done. Let's wrap this
Bye.
up. Hey, Mr. Cookie, we're still in the air.
Oh, God.
Hey. I did get a judge's kit for the Prairie. Oh, I will get one for the Prairie Medicinal Harvest Cup. I don't have it yet. But huge thanks again to Sarah Sunday. We're still sporting the amazing Bud Can shots on the Karma Cup.
There's
Karma Cup.
Still going through though.
Still going through the Karma Cup stash.
We just
Gotta
put up
give
some
Sarah
pictures on
Sunday big props.
Instagram. Check out Cannabis Culture magazine on
Cookie.
Instagram. See some Karma Cup pictures and stay tuned because we got a
TheKarmaCup.ca.
video from BC Bad Gal coming soon to Pod TV.
TheKarmaCup.ca.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
All right. We'll see you soon, Pod TV. Love ya. Peace.